Yeah. Don't bloody complain. Your boy's here. Apologies for the lateness. As per usual, big up the stream. Big up the stream chatters who have been waiting patiently. I do greatly apologize for my lateness. I was trying to get things set up so I make sure I had no mistakes. So everything's set up nice and well. No mistakes going on as per usual, but you know the vibes with me. Sometimes I'm right on time, sometimes I'm late. You know how to deal with. If you're watching this after the fact, you have absolutely no idea what's going on here. But still, to those of you that are patiently waiting, I'm here, I'm alive. Big up the gang. So, this is the random show episode number 50. We're up to 50 of these episodes, 50, which is pretty insane. And also goes to prove how much drama and gossip and nonsense that surrounds the whole LA podcast community, right? The LA, what do I call it? The LA extended universe, right? Was it the LA comedy podcast extended universe? I forgot what I called it. I called it something. Whatever it called it, you guys remember. Hopefully you do. We're up to 50 episodes already. 50. That goes to show how much drama is basically seeped and kind of ingrained in this flipping community. Because a long time ago, I decided to separate all the comedy commentary thing from my regular podcast because I went to make it standalone, and I also went to get a good gauge and idea of who's actually listening. And obviously, according to the numbers of the views I have online, I get way more views for this random show than I ever do for my AgostinhoZinga show, which is my absolute baby, which is what I actually want to do and talk about. But I guess I have to give the people what they want, and I am a people pleaser because at core, I am the true definition of a content creator. I am here at your service, right? You're not here at my service. I'm here at your service. Whatever you guys enjoy, I try my best to try and provide it for you guys. That is what I'm here to do. We have a very short time on this little planet that we have that's hurtling through the deep space, and we need to make the best of it. And if I can help you along the way, I shall do it with a smile on my face. Hopefully, I'll get rid of these flipping gun things. I'm gonna hopefully go to Turkey and get some flipping Turkish teeth done. So if you see me with a massive Hollywood smile and flipping teeth that long, don't say anything, all right? Because it's gonna look natural. I'm gonna get rid of all my extended gums here. I'm gonna get these big, massive gnashes, and I'm gonna be a real YouTuber. Then I'm gonna get a ring light so you can actually see me. Gonna get a proper camera, and you guys are gonna be like, "Oh my god, wow, he looks amazing." I might even get my lips filled up like Brendan and get them real big and puffy. But regardless, I'm here at your behest. I'm here at your service, providing you the random show, and hopefully you guys enjoy the stuff that we have to do. But it's crazy to think it's 50. It's crazy to think it's 50. We're up to 50, mate. 50 episodes talking about this absolute nonsense. But like I said earlier in another show, this is like the male version of the Kardashians, isn't it? It's just spread across different shows, different individuals, and we all poke fun at it, we laugh at it. But as per usual, don't go to none of these people's pages and leave offensive comments. I've never left one offensive comment on any of these people's pages. I don't even follow them for the most part. I don't care what they get up to in their social life, apart from maybe Joe Rogan. And again, I don't really check his profile too often. So let's just keep it here. Let's have jokes. Let's laugh at them. Let's point and keep it moving and live our everyday lives. Because at the end of the day, we're all redacts anyway. Do you know what I mean? Some are just more redacts and some are just more redacted than others, but we're all basically redacts. We're all kind of on a spectrum of redactedness in it. Some of it here, some of it there, some in the middle. You know how the vibe goes. You know how the vibe goes. Anyway, as per usual, it is the random show with me, AgostinhoZinga, episode 50. If it's your first time here and you like what you see and what you hear, make sure you smash that like button as per usual, right? Just smash it if you like what you see, what you hear. And then, of course, as the show progresses and you want to come back and you feel like, oh, I want to check this guy out again, all you have to do is click subscribe and you can come back and check another show. But the interesting part of it is this: I've also started up another channel, separate channel for the random show stuff by itself, because eventually I want to get to a place where I only have the AgostinhoZinga show on this channel and maybe my DJ streams. Even that I'll end up having on a standalone channel. So I want to make things, separated and segmented so it's all kind of nice and neat where it should be. But I've also started up a separate channel for the random show that I'd also like you guys to subscribe and to get all that good stuff alongside with, so we can have that kind of blowing off. And at the moment, I'm just uploading miscellaneous clips, the clips I think maybe don't work on this channel, or maybe are just random ones I'll put up on the random show channel. So make sure if you haven't already subscribed to it, then please do. I'm going to get up on your screen so you can see it. It's that channel here. Just type in random show AppAgostinhoZinga if you can on there, and the first link that comes up with no sort of image on it, random, show there with 28 subscribers. Please click on there, subscribe. At the moment, I've only got a couple of clips on there, but I'm going to be adding clips as we go along. But obviously, the main show will still stay on here as I build this show in the background. So as I build this channel in the background, because I think it's nice to have these kind of things nice and separated, so we can get things looking good and all that malarkey in it. So that is the vibe on that one. Anyway, also, as you know, from the bottom there, we've got a nice beer and ket fund. So if you want to support my alcohol and drug abuse, then make sure that you donate. The donate link is in the chat. If you don't want to donate, you just want to watch the show, then watch it. If you want to cuss, then cuss. Keep it obviously PC, because I don't monitor the chat or moderate it. So make sure, people are on there. But regardless about all that, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So pick up the chat. We've got about 49 viewers so far in climbing, so I think everyone has tuned in. Big up Daniel Figueroa, big up Teju, big up Tim Baxter, Coiler, I'm seeing here, Richard, Willis Moore, Eddie D, C Phoenix, big up everybody that's in here, Keith McLeod, Snake Hips, Exercise Shaman, Mr. Singh, as per usual, big up Mr. Singh, always a pleasure to see you. So big up everybody in the stream chat hanging in and doing a thing. We're going to hang in. Oh, big up Ryan Sways as well, 88. I can't forget you, my G. Big up, big up, big up everybody in the chat. And as per usual, as you see on the topics, we've got many topics to talk about. Mainly, we're going to kind of cover the reaction to the whole Brendan Schaub and Dana White thing. It's all kind of died down now. I'm a bit late because I went, I was away. I went to a flipping destination wedding. A friend had a wedding in Madrid, so I was there for a little bit. So obviously I missed out on a few things, but we're going to catch up and round up all the stuff that happened on the back end between Dana and Brendan. We're also going to catch up on Bryan Callen appearing on Legion of Skanks and some other bits and bobs here and there. But as per usual, I'm going to bury the lead a little bit. We're going to talk about some other random things, and then we're going to get to the end and we're going to speak about all that stuff I have in the title. So be, chill out. Don't be getting at me on the flipping chat in terms of talking about what you want to talk about at the time. Is coming. Please don't pressurize me, because I'm a very young and small and innocent boy and I don't like to be pressured. And we're gonna get started. Oh, before we get started, actually, let me oh shit, I'll move the camera as per usual. Big up me, knocking things over like an absolute redact. See, that's what I said, I'm a redact, because I knock things over with my massive size 11 feet. It's funny, isn't it? According to Joe Rogan, I have the same size feet as Joe Rogan, who's what, 5'5". Allegedly, he's a US 11, which is flipping insane. How can you have the same size foot as me, being 5'5"? I think he does that thing where, I don't know if you guys know, but certain guys have this complex about obviously their height, hair. Guys have little things, insecurities, right? Height, hair, and I think the other one is shoe size. And I remember this story from ages ago. One of my friends owned a popular sneaker store here in London back in the day, and it was a kind of like a consignment sneaker store. So it was a place where you went to buy like really limited edition trainers, kind of like I don't know if you guys remember this sneaker store called Flight Club back in the day, where essentially you would buy really expensive shoes online, and then you sell them to a shop, and then they would sell them for an exorbitant price to usually Saudi Arabian kids or whatnot, right? Back in the day before StockX sort of existed. So anyway, this guy who owned the sneaker store in London, he once told us that Kanye West came down to London. I think this was the time when he used to hang around with, I forgot who that white guy used to hang around with, some white dude who used to make music with back in the day on Good Music. I forgot. White dude on Good Music. I forgot his name. The singer type dude. I think he's British. So he used to always come to London to record with him. And he used to always come obviously to London as well to shop around, Carnaby Street, Soho, and all those kind of areas where they sold limited edition shoes. And he went to my friend's store, and then I guess, if you worked retail like I did for many years, I worked at Dr. Martens, I worked at Nike, I worked at Adidas, I worked at various other shoe stores, random miscellaneous one. I worked at Clark's for a bit. If you worked at any shoe store, you would know that when you worked at a shoe store, usually by eye, you can tell someone's shoe size when you get, used to working the job. You can kind of figure out what someone's shoe size is by the eye. And I guess my friend who owned the store kind of assumed Kanye was a US 9, right? Or I think US 9 or US 8 or something. And then Kanye got upset and basically said, nah, I'm not a US 9, I'm a US 10 or 11 or something stupid. And my friend was like, nah, you're not, you're a US 9. And he said, nah, I'm a US 11. And he went back and forth until Kanye basically, did a Kanye and basically shouted at him and told him to get him a US 11 or he was going to leave. and he gave him the US 11. It was clearly big for him, like clearly it was like flapping, but he would wear it anyway like that because he just wanted his feet to be bigger than what they actually were. I'm not sure if he does that now because I think Yeezys are quite the way they design Yeezys. Like if you look at them in terms of form, they do a clever job of sort of like hiding the length and the girth of your foot, because I know, because I've got really big feet, and when I wear my Yeezy Wave Runners, if I wear my 700s, my 350s, even the desert boots, sometimes they do a really good job. I think maybe some proportions, how they're shaped, whatever it is, they don't make your feet look that big, so maybe that's it. But I do remember that story about Kanye wearing US 11s. I thought it made me laugh. So then when I saw that clip, there's a random clip of somebody asking Joe a throwaway question about his shoe size, and he's like, "Yeah, I wear US 11." He says it mad quick, and it makes me think, really? If you're 5'6" and you're US 11, that's insane, isn't it? That's pretty wild. But I've seen crazier things out there, so who knows? Who bloody knows? Anyway, before we proceed, what I wanted to do was this. I've got a drink here; it's ready to go. Got a little green juice, as per usual, the common flipping tradition of showing you what I'm drinking before we do the stream. Nice green juice here to keep me going. It's got a little bit extra in there, to keep me razzle dazzle. So this should be a good one as we proceed. Obviously, as per usual, I'm gonna put this on mute so you don't hear me slurping. But cheers to everybody. Cheers. Woo, woo, woo. That felt good. Anyway, so let's proceed. Let's proceed. Yeah, bruv. Koila, healthy ag, but also beer and ke ag. That's a duality of me, and that's what I love about me, actually. In general. Can I talk about what I love about me? Nah. But in general, though, I try to keep some sort of balance, where I try to go really healthy, really strict Monday to Friday, and then on the weekend I go crazy. I mean? Project X, White Girl Wasted Star, I just got out off the chain. But then as soon as Monday comes again, boom, right back into it again. And I think that balance has basically staved off any instances of me ODing or being in trouble and stuff, because I tend to kind of keep myself really, really, really calm. Oh yeah, DJ Blondie, yeah. Do you love me? Fucking DJs, man. Absolute barn doors, isn't it? Anyway, let's continue. So obviously most of you know that Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and there was a massive funeral here in the UK. There was loads of flipping redacts that were queuing up more than 10 hours to go and see her coffin for 1.5 seconds. I saw a couple of people who queued twice, so they did 24 hours basically in the queue, in total, to go see the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II. And it's just generally a big show of absolute nothing. But one of the funny things that made me think about was, do you guys remember this story? Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys remember this. So do you remember when I think Trump, is it Trump's first wife? I don't know. Maybe it's Trump's first wife. Ivanka Trump, basically, one of Trump's ex-wives, was involved in an unfortunate accident where she fell down the stairs, right? And she unfortunately passed away instantly. So I guess she was just unlucky and hit her head somewhere and didn't recover and never woke up again. And she passed away. And she was fairly young, if I'm not mistaken. She wasn't like, 100 years old. Yeah, she was 73 years old. So fairly young still, especially for someone affluent. Usually, you've had no real stress in your life apart, unless you get an awful terminal disease. If you've had no real stresses and you have maids all around your house, you can probably survive a lot of things that regular 73-year-olds couldn't. But she unfortunately passed away. So RIP to Ivanka Trump. Ivanka. So it's Ivana, not Ivanka. Ivanka's his daughter. Ivana Trump. The funny and interesting thing was where she was buried. Allegedly, I remember it going around on Twitter that Trump just buried her at his golf course, right? And it was a pretty haphazard, like, look at this, like, crappy burial site where the slab that was on top of the burial site wasn't even on a plinth or anything. It was just kind of laid on top of it. It was all covered in mud as well, wasn't cleaned in any kind of particular way. The square where the burial site is wasn't really cut in a neat way. The grass where she's buried was all patchy and mad. And at first I thought it was a troll, but having Googled it again, it looks like it was actually real. Like he actually buried her at his golf course in this kind of makeshift looking flipping burial site, which makes me wonder, does you just not give a fuck? Did Ivana have specific requests as to like, hey, if I pass away, don't make a big fuss? Or was like this some weird I don't know, thing that the family do when people pass in general. It was absolutely insane, honestly. So the thing, the article says as follows: Ivana Trump was later arrested at her former husband's golf course in New Jersey, where white flowers and a plaque marked the freshly buried grave. Donald Trump's first wife was buried at the National Golf Course in Bedminster, New Jersey, and died July 14th, for 73 years old. Photos taken by the Post Thursday showed Trump's grave alone against a bucolic, what's that? How do you say that? Bucolic scenery of trees and shrubbery. The grave upon a sprawling green space upon the club's vast estate. The plot where Ivana was buried had a bouquet of more than 2 dozen flowers and a plaque that reads all capitals letters Ivana with the date she was born and died. No quote or anything. No, she was a good mother. She went for everything. Fearless leader. Zero. Right? Zero. 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 The grave is a place where golfers would not see it as they tee off on the ground on a round. Sorry, the grave is in a place where golfers would not see it as they tee off for a round of golf. The small section of the club is below the backside of the first tree. A source previously told the Post the New York site was too far from the main clubhouse. So clearly, they went all out on the funeral. She's got a gold coffin, clear in proper Trump style. He didn't even bother to wear black at the wedding. He had to wear navy blue to look a bit different, right? Yeah. um, and then it's also say they have a private grassy area. It's a very discreet place, a granite graveyard with a name. So yeah, pretty insane, and you just bury your wife somewhere like that. But it is what it is. I guess it is what it bloody is. And then moving on from that quickly, I wanted to quickly touch upon. Oh yeah, that's probably someone said it's really true. Oh, is that true, DBA Dave? That there are tax exemptions for cemeteries? That makes a lot of sense. So he built a cemetery on his golf course, then buried his own wife on there. So there's some sort of like tax break he's going to get off the back of that. Honestly, the thing that's quite reprehensible, right, rich people, is their refusal to pay any more taxes than they need to pay. But the interesting part of it for people like us who are, regular folk, it's also interesting to see the amount of ways that you can avoid paying taxes, like create quote unquote creative ways by doing little funny things. You know what I mean? It's pretty funny to see that, to be honest, which probably makes it even more ridiculous when people get arrested and go to prison for tax evasion, because there are ways you can get away from paying a lot of tax, but you can't get away from paying no tax. You have to pay something. Just be smart about it. But yeah, bloody hell, man, what an absolute crazy guy flipping Trump is. But anyway, moving on quickly from that one. We're going to talk about this, which is quite interesting because I'm on the site, even though I haven't made any content on there in a while, and I need to get on it because I'm slacking, and I have people that pay to flip in, be on my Patreon, and I'm absolutely a piece of crap for not doing the thing. But life gets in the way and all that malarkey, but that's still not an excuse. But you know what I mean. Anyway, the news regarding this and why I brought this up is courtesy of The Verge. It says Patreon has laid off 70% of its workforce and is closing its offices, which number one, I'm surprised by, because I read all these reports. Again, maybe it's just media sort of spinning a narrative to kind of fit whatever's going on in the culture, or maybe it's a media trying to force feed a narrative into the culture to make it a thing. But during the peak of the pandemic, the one thing you kept hearing a lot about was like, social media is booming, podcasts are booming, streaming is booming because people are just indoors and with nothing to do, money to burn, and they were essentially consuming as much content as possible. I think I kind of benefited from it as well. I think myself, because I think when I started covering all the comedian stuff, that was around the time of the start of the pandemic. So maybe late 2019, early 2020, I think, when I started covering the first kind of comedy podcast stuff on my channel. And I think I did see a real big uptick in subscribers, a real big uptick in views, especially considering no one really checked out my content because I was just talking about my AgostinhoZinga show, which, most people don't give a fuck about, which really hurts my feelings. But hey ho, it is what it is. So I did see an uptick in that. So clearly there was a group, there was a segment of the population that were kind of soaking in that kind of content. But if you think about it really critically as well, without any emotion, there is this other side of it being that if you were in the peak of the pandemic and you weren't able to work, the worst first thing that you were going to do was reduce all your expenses. So if you had stuff like Netflix, stuff like Patreon, you had a really expensive phone bill, the first thing you were doing was reducing that or maybe taking them away completely so that you had more money at the end of the month because you didn't have any money coming in. So you needed to sustain whatever you had there in the first place, right? Or save whatever money that you had in terms of your outgoings. So it does make sense that Patreon wouldn't be able to sustain the growth, the little spurt they had during the pandemic, because people then decided, hey, actually, I don't need this subscription anymore. Or if the other case of it could be that people maybe, after spending fucking 18 months essentially locked indoors or locked, or kind of landlocked where they couldn't travel to other places. Once the pandemic kind of restrictions were lifted, people were like, you know what, the last thing I want to be doing is sitting at home listening to something on Patreon or whatever, or reading an article on Patreon, whatever it may be. The first thing I want to do is be outside, drinking with my friends, going to the park, going to picnics, going on holiday, going to festivals, attending live events, sports or music stuff. So it does make some semblance of sense, but it is quite fucked up if you were somebody that was hired when they were kind of experiencing a crazy growth during the pandemic, and then a few months later you then get fired. Like, that's absolutely brutal. But again, this is the unfortunate reality of working for startups. You do get the opportunity to work at a fast-paced environment. Like, I've worked in predominantly loads of startups. I've done loads of startup work from the majority of my career. Even now I'm at a startup now, and most of it is amazing. You get to work in great companies with really cool leadership. You get to learn from them directly. You get to see the company grow. You also get to grow with the company. Sometimes I've been in places where my role has changed, 6 times across the time that I'm there in 2 years or whatnot, right? Because you get a chance to kind of fill in and slot in wherever it may be, because they just want anyone to help, and they're not really willing to hire people because they want to save money, because they're just starting up, blah, blah, blah. But the other reality of it is, on any given day, they could run out of funding. They could run out of runway, as they call it in startup lingo, and then suddenly people are getting laid off and you're without a job and there's no real warning. Do you know what I mean? That's the only bit that's a bit annoying about the whole thing. But here it goes. So it's a courtesy of Verge. It says Patreon is laying off 80 people, around 70% of its workforce, closing offices in Dublin and Berlin. Oof. I've had a couple of friends who, I always talk about Berlin on my channel. I love fucking Berlin. I love techno. I love Berghain, all that good stuff. You know the deal. And I had a couple of friends. I remember, actually, I thought it was kind of my karma. I went out to visit some friends and obviously to go to party one year. It might have been like 2017, 2018 times. And one of my friends, who I kind of known from going out here in London, he had moved over there for a company that was really cool. And within 6 months of him being there, the company kind of went under, and he basically was without a job. And obviously, he went there under the proviso that he was going to work for his company and live in there. He didn't really have many savings, so in a short space of time, he was back in London again. But I met him out there towards the end, and I remember kind of feeling a little bit proud of myself that I had still had a job at startup and I was doing okay for myself. And then when I came back from that holiday a couple of months later, the place that I was at just before Christmas, I think, which was even more brutal. I think it was like just before Christmas. Like, it might have been December the 21st or something. My company went under on a day's notice. To send an email around and basically said, yeah, we're out. Whatever paycheck you get at the end of the month is what you get. And to make matters worse, we didn't even get that paycheck until the end. We didn't get that paycheck until like 6 months later, because the guy basically didn't have any money. The company went insolvent. Then we had to claim it off the government. Like, it was like a crazy affair. But I thought it was karma, because I remember laughing at my friend for getting fired within 6 months of him moving to Berlin. So triggering there. But anyway, it continues. A person CEO, co-founder Jack Conte, says that the cuts are happening because the company is changing its plans after trying to rapidly grow during the pandemic. It's reducing the size of its teams and the change of operations, recruiting, other internal support functions, as well as the budget for sales and marketing. The layoffs are hitting Patreon's go-to-market, operations, finance, and people's team. Oof. Always the first to go. Workers in the US will receive 3 months severance pay, which is decent, but still, if you're not able, the issue is, if someone at Patreon is letting you go from these three kind of role areas, then it might be an issue of there being a lack of opportunities there. That's the issue that you have. The severance is good because it keeps you tied over, but it's worrying that you get let go from these roles, because it might mean that there's no other roles, some other companies hiring in those positions, because they're not really the most crucial ones. Anyway, it continues, as well as the pay as well as 2 extra weeks per half of tenure that are beyond the first year of company. European workers get a similar deal with 3 months of healthcare coverage, whereas Americans will get COBRA throughout the end of October 2022. Conte says he'll be hosting multiple Q&A sessions to address the decision. In addition to Leo's patron is closing 2 of its European offices and giving 9 engineers in Ireland the option to relocate. in the US. Tuesday change come after Patreon laid off 5-person security team last week. At a time, the company's US policy head said the verge of change would have no impact on our ability to continue to provide secure for our creators and patrons content. Addressed the matter of security in his Tuesday post as well, saying these previous layoffs were a part of a long-term strategy to continue to distribute security responsibility across the entire engineering team. He also reiterated that the company was working to work with external security experts and said that the new approach will increase how much Patreon invests in keeping the platform safe. So pretty wild, isn't it? So, hold your head up high, everyone that got let go from Patreon. I've been there. Honestly, it's brutal. But usually, if you can kind of put a good face on it, and if you could just start applying as soon as you get let go, maybe even beforehand, it can kind of take away some of the pressure, and try as best as possible to budget that severance, because once that severance comes into your account, it can sometimes they pay it all at once, sometimes they pay it on the month that on the day you're meant to get paid. So maybe budget it as much as you can, because once it comes in, it can feel like it's like monopoly money and it disappears rather quickly. But yeah, hold your head up, everybody that got let go from Patreon. I know it's brutal, but it's going to get better. I promise it will go and get better. I promise you it will. I promise you it will. Anyway, what are people saying in the chat? Kabul is saying, I think we're seeing a lot of businesses realizing that they overextended during the pandemic stuff. They hired a lot of people instead of paying a smaller, better. Layoffs always suck though. Yeah, true. I think I think that has happened quite a lot, but only in certain jobs. I know in service industry, especially in the UK, people are still looking for employees and workers. I think, I don't know why, but I think across the world, everybody that works in the service industry, like I said, I used to work retail, so I've done my bit of service and bar work and whatnot. But I think everybody that was working in bars and shops and shit in 2019, as soon as the pandemic happened, I guess everybody that was in those jobs, or majority of people, something went off in their head, a switch, like, I don't need to do this anymore, and they all never came back. So a lot of people are still kind of hesitant on going to work in stores and restaurants and stuff, which I don't really know why, because from what I've seen, I remember seeing an advert that McDonald's were advertising a fucking jobs for like $20 or something. I think in the US or something crazy like that. $20 an hour to work in McDonald's is absolutely brilliant, mate. Do you know what I mean? You could rack in some serious cash in a very short period of time if you wanted to. So I don't really know why people are resisting to go in there. Maybe because they're just so terrible, those jobs day to day. Like the money isn't worth it. I'm not really too sure. But you're seeing a lot of jobs in those sectors. But in the kind of stuff that I do, like operations, customer service, marketing, all those kind of wafty things that you don't really need 5 people to do. You can basically do one person do it. Like, I used to be a social media manager for startups, and that's essentially a job that you don't need. I used to have an assistant when I used to be a social media manager, right? I had an assistant. Why the fuck do I need an assistant for? Do you know what I mean? To post stuff on Twitter and to, share memes and to make artwork to share on Facebook. Like, it's nonsense. Or to write copy. You don't need an assistant. You can do it all yourself. Or to make a content calendar, nonsense thing. So maybe it's a good thing for companies, because it helped to clear up all those bullshit jobs that they were basically over hiring for, right? You had people like myself working at companies making silly amounts of money, not doing that much, during the day. Like, an 8-hour day, you're actually working maybe at best 3 hours actually working. The rest of it, you're just sort of like responding to fucking comments online, which is, depending on the product or service you're selling, it may be 0, it may be 1. So those are really crazy times. But yeah, big up Just Fury, massive big up Just Fury. What's going on? He's talking about McDonald's. So that's so funny, Dave. People coming in, see the title of my show and the thumbnail, and then Dave saying he's talking about McDonald's. Honestly, stream chat comments are the best. They're always intentionally and unintentionally the most funniest thing I've seen. Yeah, big up Hans Fofak. Big up Dennis Michaels. Yeah, man, I had an assistant. I had my own BGL, but it was a girl, actually. I think it was a girl, but she wasn't as big as BGL. She was definitely way smaller, but she was much better at her job. 100% much better at her job than BGL was. But yeah, that was just insane. Why I needed a flipping assistant, I have no idea. But hey, me not complain. Anyway, quickly move on to this topic. I want to mention here, what is it, honestly? And I think I'm going to, hopefully this isn't famous last words and no one uses this in a compilation for me later on down the line when I turn into an absolute piece of shit. But what's with streamers? Like, what's with streamers in general? Like, just being like really unlikable, irredeemable pieces of shit. What is it with, especially the bigger the streamer, the more pieces of shit they are. Like, what is it in general? Is it the fact that they do a quote unquote job that requires them to sit on their ass and just talk out their ass like I do into a webcam, you know, to an audience of thousands if you are that kind of person, and then that makes you kind of feel like you hate your audience. I don't really sure what it is, but there's something about streamers in general. They get whether it's like, you know, getting into issues with molesting kids, abusing women, just being a cunt to their friends, and in this one particular thing, according to No Jumper, stealing money from friends and viewers. Like, what is it about streamers and their inability to just be nice people? Please, somebody tell me in the stream chat. But anyway, this is courtesy of No Jumper. It says Twitch streamer Silka, who I don't know much about at all, but I just saw it in No Jumper, admits to lying and stealing over $300,000 from his viewers and friends. Absolutely insane. Next thing, so if you hear the video of him talking about this issue.
Trainwrecks, I would message him. I'd be like, bro, I'm in a situation. And he gave me like $150,000. No, sorry, not 150, $100,000, and I know people are gonna be like, the people I owe, you're gonna
150.
Be like, what?
So this is more than this is over 300K.
I had to
this
pay
is definitely over
50,000.
300K, bro.
In a month, I would have to pay someone.
Wait, what? Please tell me I'm hearing that
and
wrong, please.
He said Train gave him
some of my real
150K.
friends who was investing in the
No,
house.
that takes it to like over.
He said 100. He said 100.
Hold on. So he borrowed 100 grand from his friend under the premise that he was struggling financially and the friend wanted to help him out. And then he just gambled it all and lost probably. Because if he's a degenerate gambler, usually degenerate gamblers are terrible at gambling, hence why they're degenerates. What a piece of shit thing to do. But again, this is standard. This is like the same thing that, you know, DSP Darkside Phil does to his audience. Because, you know, as much as I hate the guy and I really want to see him fucking crash and burn, to be honest, if his fans are willing to tip him and give him the money that he receives, then it's none of our business or my business what he does with it. But it's the fact that he outright lies that he doesn't play, you know, WWE Champions, which is essentially a gambling game. He wastes all his money on that, but then cries poor on stream and acts as if, you know, the trolls are the reason why he lost his money, when really he loses it all gambling. I think there's a video recently that showed that maybe DSP spent $1,000 over the weekend gambling on fucking WWE Champions. Like I said, if anybody knows in the stream chat can categorically say, what is it about these streamers when it comes to abusing women, when it comes to diddling kids, when it comes to, you know, swindling their fan bases and doing flipping Bitcoin things and charity things and then stealing the money and all that. Like, what is it about streamers and their inability to be decent people? Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, especially the higher up ones. It's not really guys that earn like £1,000 off of Twitch that are doing it. It's guys who are earning like 200 grand, 300 grand who are doing this sort of thing. Like, what's the deal with this?
Get a sponsorship with steak.
I told you so over 200K.
I don't know how much extra I paid them,
Oh
but I
my
would be like, every single
days.
day, you can charge me extra. Some of the money I paid back to some streamers, and it would just keep getting worse ever since after Trainwrecks. This is why he blocked me.
Jesus
I bet he blocked you.
Ever since Trainwrecks, I would message him. I'd
Oh,
be
there's
like,
no-
bro,
no-
I'm in
next
genuinely
page.
mean this. I genuinely mean that. I do apologize for everyone that I borrowed off.
Honestly, man, like, I don't really have many things that I get irate about in general, but when it comes to money, especially with friends, especially when they're in need, like, that's something that would literally maybe send me over the edge. Honestly, on a level, it really will send me over the edge, because I'm not even somebody that myself, I don't even ask or, you know, I don't even use my friends that way. I would never ask my friends for like a loan or anything. Do you know what I mean? I'll just rather suffer in silence. Do you know what I mean? Or like stay in and just save money by eating bread and beans, you know, for the next week or so. I would never kind of put myself in that position. And I think maybe the fact that I would be resistant to asks for money is maybe the reason why I always have just a little bit. Even if I'm really broke, I always have a tiny bit to kind of hold me over. But I can't imagine how it would feel to lend a friend 100 grand because you have it, and because you're generous, you're willing to give it to them because you want to help them out, because you were blessed to earn that amount and you want to just give back, whatever the reason may be. And then they go and gamble it away and then tell you they're sorry. Sorry isn't enough, you prick. Fuck off.
Not asking for forgiveness, but every single day I felt guilty. Every single day. Taking off these innocents, viewers, from streamers, viewers that don't even fucking work, man. Viewers that don't even work. Viewers that would need it because they're going to school and I'm being stupid.
But to be fair to him, though, I know what he's saying there is like, to be fair to the guy, it's not really your fault if people who don't work are giving you their flipping benefit money and their food stamps money and stuff. It's not really your fault. People are just insane online. I've seen many streamers say before, hey, I'm making enough money on subs, don't send me any money. And people keep sending them money. It's like, I don't know what is with people online and stuff. And maybe because when it's numbers online on the screen, it doesn't feel like real cash. Maybe, I'm not really too sure what the reason is, but there is something with people who have the least willing to give the most, which is quite admirable, really, isn't it? Because, you know, it's quite nice that somebody that earns less than you is willing to give you money because they enjoy what you do. But it's still a bit wild, you know what I mean? Because in general, these guys are doing all sorts of nonsense.
It would stack and stack and stack. People outside I'd borrow from in real life. And I've been in situations where I was scared. They'd pull up, warn me, and pop my tires for my car. And these are...
Is that the only thing he's scared of? Getting his tires popped, not physical damage. This is, or not physical assault. That's probably the reason why these guys get away with this sort of stuff, innit? They've never actually faced any real life consequences, just like reputational online stuff. If you turn off your computer and you, I don't know, restart your fucking streaming career under some, you know, avatar, and you flipping distort your voice, you can basically start again, right? So you're kind of immune to kind of real life consequences. But if somebody actually pulled up to your house and decided to, you know, if they wanted to, that sort of thing, hit over the head with a spanner, that might maybe change how you go about things. Who knows?
These are friends, and I know people are gonna be like, "What friends do you have?" They don't know about I genuinely mean this.
On the next one. What is it? Another Silka saying, please don't be afraid to say no. I'm disgusting for this request. I deeply apologize for asking. So this is him asking someone from a loan. I got you the loan. What's your paper? I won't be able to send till a few hours. How much did he ask this person for? Imagine going on Instagram DMs and being able to secure a loan for whatever amount on Instagram DMs just through some emojis or some voice notes. I won't ask you again. Shit's putting me off through much depression. Damn, that's tough. Honestly, the self-deprecating stuff is funny. But anyway, let's read what people are saying in the stream chat. It's probably gonna be. I want to hear what you guys think. What? Because I'm intrigued about this, man. Like streamers in general, like Wings of Redemption, DSP. Who's the other guy? The black guy. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. But that one that's always screaming. What do you call it? Let's see what people are saying in the stream chat. The Kablu saying the streamers are straight criminals in most of these cases. While Buncher agree, Martin Musa's this dude's a degenerate gambler. My sister gambled away 70k of her own money, Martin Musa says. She almost lost her job in the military and went to rehab for it. Holy fuck. Imagine gambling away 70k. Oh my god. Gambling is a horrible addiction. Norm MacDonald used to say gambling is the only illness that you can win $1 million from. Oh, that's an amazing joke from Norm. RIP to the fucking legend. James Picone says, bunch of Hollywood weirdos that ain't got nothing in common with us, regular folk. Dave H said, I think they have parents who are rich to enable them to get started, sport, children, basically. I don't think that's true, Dave H. I don't think a lot of streamers are spoiled. I think a lot of them start off regular, like us, regular people. And then I guess there must be something quite hard to kind of get around your head when you're a regular dude. Like imagine if I was doing a stream and then all of a sudden the stream becomes popular and I'm now pulling in 1,000 people per stream. I'm getting crazy amounts of donation, crazy amounts of flipping memberships on my channel and shit. I'm up to fucking 500,000 subs. Especially in your adult age, it probably does something to your brain. It probably kind of fucks you up a little bit that you become well known. People start emailing you and contacting you for stuff. People are offering you things because that's what usually happens, right? The more popular you get, people just start offering you stuff. I think that's a lot of famous people say. The more famous you get, the less you start to pay for things because people just want to give you free things so you can advertise it or show it or just so you can be next to them or something or associated with them. So it must do something to your your psychology, your brain, your hardwiring getting that sort of level of attention, because it's probably not really normal, is it, for regular people to have that many people watching them every single day, giving a fuck about what they say. I don't know, something in that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Teju says Train gets over 5 million a month from Twitch gambling sponsorship. Oh my god, that's why he gave 100k. Really? These guys on Twitch make insane amounts of money. I saw one guy saying that he makes like on a bad month 300 grand a month on a bad month. God damn it. I think my goal has always been, especially within this streaming YouTube thing, my goal has always been like 10 grand a month. I'm nowhere near that at the moment. Nowhere near that at the moment. But if I was to make 10 grand a month from streaming and making YouTube content, I'd be content, because that would allow me to have what I could deem to be a comfortable life in terms of being able to go on holiday, have a house in 2 different maybe locations, have a car, blah 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 blah, look after my family members and shit. Like it would go a long way. So I can't imagine what 5 million a month, especially for a streamer that's pretty introverted and doesn't really go outside or gambles all the time. Like that's a lot of money, innit? A lot of money to just have around. That must be a bit scary. You know what I mean? Kabi said he would be this guy in real life, but he got opportunity to be online and create a character. People fell off. Then it's Michael says there are narcissists who have commodified their personality and warps it more distorted version of amplify their worst aspects. That's a good point. I like that, Dennis Michaels. Martin Moose says, I feel bad that he's an addicted gambler, but that doesn't excuse the crimes he did to further his addiction. We don't forgive crackheads or robbing banks to get crack. Exactly. And it'll be much better, right, if this guy robbed random people, then he robbed his own friends. I know this sounds redacted. I really do know that. But the fact that he kind of took advantage of his friend's goodwill, and again, it doesn't matter if Train made 10 million. This guy, Train, I don't know who he is, but this gambler guy called Train, it doesn't matter if he makes 10 million a month, if he makes 20 million a month, it's his money. The fact that this guy essentially swindled his own friend out of giving him 100 grand that he then blew and pissed up the wall is absolutely reprehensible, ridiculous, especially to your friends. You don't do that to your friends. Go and steal from a fucking bank. Go and rob some random person on the street. Honestly, go crack someone's car window, but don't fuck around your friends. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like those are people, your family you're born into, your friends you choose, or they choose you. You shouldn't be fucking over your friends like that. That's really unforgivable, in my opinion. In my opinion. Proven says, what else are people saying here? Twitch is maybe one step above IP2. Yeah, true. Self-entitled. So Proven says 187 says self-entitled thinking and the world owes them something because they stream. True. There's a lot of that entitlement with streamers I see, man. People saying, oh, I expected certain amount this amount of viewers, this amount of likes. It's like, God damn it, you guys. The amount of people online who are creating content at any given moment, like right now, I wonder how many people are streaming right at this moment. Probably hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. What gives you any right to feel entitled to having a certain amount of viewers? You're fortunate, you're lucky, you're blessed to have anybody check out your stuff. Even a 1 view is good. I've never cared about that sort of stuff. I guess that's probably why I still make flipping content online. And I still have over 600 shows reacting to the Zing Show, even though no one cares about it, because I do it for my own entertainment. And if 100 people watch it, it's fine. 2, 3, 4, I don't care. But some people are wild of it. And up at C Phoenix says, people will always jump on a new wave and try to find a way to turn it into a scam. Twitch and streaming is general one of those things. That's another good point, actually. Maybe it's just an avenue for a good scam. And if you don't mind manipulating people and you're a bit of a narcissist and a sociopath, you probably can get away with it. James Buchanan says people donating money are just gobbers that think they getting friend. Yeah, so a lot of people are basically saying narcissism and just attention, all that good stuff. It's happening over there. But yeah, man, it's horrible. It really is horrible. But yeah, big up everybody in the chat. Big up everyone for just contributing to that. I really do appreciate that. I really, really do appreciate that. I really, really do. Let's move on from here. Buddy. Oh, Miguel Gonzalez. Yeah, I love you. Love you too, Miguel. Thank you for the love, my friend. And then just to end the thing anyway, there's an update courtesy of Twitch actually regarding gambling on there. And I guess maybe it's because of response of this happening with this guy. I don't know if that's the case, because again, I'm not really involved in Twitch community stuff and what happens behind the scenes. But have you seen this? This is courtesy of Twitch on their Twitter account, and it says as follows. Let me put up there an update on gambling on Twitch. Let's get this picture up. Come on, load, you absolute slow Movo. Oh, why skip to trending? I don't like that. Hopefully it's not bad. I think it's his birthday, right? Hopefully that was it, because he turned 40, and I think some people were surprised that he was 40 years old. But hopefully that's it, and it's nothing else crazy. But I don't like to see Skepta trending there. But it continues. Gambling content on Twitch has been a big topic of discussion in the community and something that we've been actively reviewing since our last policy update. Today we want to update you on our plans. We will prohibit sharing links or referral codes to all sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games, and we've seen some people circumvent these rules and expose our community to potential harm. So we'll be making a policy update on October 18th to prohibit streaming of gambling sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games that aren't licensed, or even US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient consumer protections. These sites will include stake.com. Oh wow, so Stake is the one that Drake endorses, right? So that's a big one. Stake, Rollbit, I don't know any, because again I don't gamble. Dual Bits, Rubit. However, we may identify others as we move forward. We will continue to allow websites that focus on sports betting, fantasy sports, and poker. So nothing's really changed, really, isn't it? Those still are big free industries. We'll share specifics on the update on the gambling policy soon, including the full policy language, to make sure everyone is clear on our rules before we take effect on October 18th. It's pretty abhorrent what goes on Twitch, isn't it, for the most part? You've got the flipping hot tub streamers, right? Or you've got the cleavage streamers. You've got that girl recently who was flipping, getting flipping barebacked while she was flipping streaming, which was absolutely wild. Then of course you have people gambling on there, promoting that sort of stuff. It really isn't the best place for young people to grow up. Maybe it is the best place. Maybe if you're a young kid growing up, you actually should get exposed to that sort of stuff so you can see the realities of everyday life. I'm not really too sure, but Twitch is a mad place. Like, it's quite lawless for what it is. I know it's a bit social justice-y, warriorish with some of their flipping rules and whatnot, but you can get away with a lot if you want to. Do you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to swindling your subs and whatnot. But hey, I guess people enjoy it for whatever reason they enjoy it, and it's good to see Twitch responding to it in some ways, especially considering what's happening. And as people have mentioned in the chat, how harmful flipping gambling can be. It's good to see them making some level of change going forward. But yeah, let me just quickly see why people are talking about Skepta here on Twitter, because I don't like to see his name trending like this, because it makes me nervous. But I think it's just because it was his birthday, I'm pretty sure. Let me just quickly check here. Wagwan from Toronto, yeah. Wagwan, Donald Dump, Toronto in the house. Mike Mrs. isn't Raw Bits the site that Milk Boys promote? Yeah, I'm not really too sure. I'm not really familiar with what Milk Boys promote. I watch the podcast here and there, but I don't really know what they put out and promote wise. So maybe, I'm not too sure. CV Good says my boy won 5k at casino and goes back to next day to lose it all. I win 500. I'm happy. 500 one day is cool for me. Of course, yeah. I've not really gambled ever. I've done a bit of sports stuff, gambling here and there, like maybe the odd match, and maybe I can count it on one hand the amount of gambling stuff I've done. And even if I want a quid, I'm over the moon and I go and spend it. I don't go and flipping reinvest it in gambling again. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I can't see okay, so I guess he's trending because everyone didn't know how old he was. Yeah, there you go. So people could just realizing that flipping Skepta's 40, which is weird, really, to be honest. I guess people didn't realize that he was that old. What was he doing? This is Skepta. Is he celebrating his birthday, or is this an old video? I'm not really too sure. Let's play this.
Dick can breeze through in the Q45 by my side. Lyrical high, can smoke like Dutchess under master. I hate to blast you, but I have to. You see, I smoke a lot. Your life is played out like Kwame and the fucking polka dots who rock the spot. Skeppy.
Imagine being that rich that on your birthday, you're fully dressed in your bathroom with, was it 2 bottles of Moët? Or no, a bottle of Moët and a champagne flute, or whatever champagne you got, a Jesus chain around your neck, great, nice flipping expensive watch and whatever else, expensive clothes, and you're just streaming to people online during your birthday on Instagram Live. Shouldn't you be outside with your friends, like having fun? Why are you in the bathroom fully clothed doing this? But hey, I love him anyway, still.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. SK, he the illest. Boom, boom, boom.
Big up. What does someone say here? You could tell Skepta's age by his trousers. What's happening?
Hey, this the new handshake when you see niggas. 4th floor. Straight. Yo. Big smoke, Pokoli went in there. Pulu. I'm on a hype. Bet you won't rap with your shirt off. You think I'm an idiot? You think this is my first day on the job? Blood orange, Dev. Chat to me, it's my birthday, I made it. The big 4-0.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I guess because I'm not really a big birthday person. I don't celebrate my birthday in the slightest. Maybe I've done the odd stream here and there, I think, but I don't really go out for it. I just kind of, stay at home and just kind of wish the day would kind of go away. Maybe that's why. But seeing people this hype on their own birthday, especially 40, especially in their own bathroom, fully dressed, is always hilarious to me. Last clip and then we move on.
You're going right. Not even moving. But Agadasha must come back. When you're finished, different hairstyle, different, you know what I mean? Agadasha must come back. I'll be here waiting for you. I'll be here. I'll be standing here waiting for everybody to come back. Agaracha must come back first before anything else. Hey, skincare routine, you lot. Mad. Clarence.
Okay, I guess Skepta's not dead. I'm glad he's happy. Enjoy. Hope he's doing, he's living his best life. But Jesus Christ. Quick one before we move into the topics of the day. Have you guys seen this absolutely hilarious picture? Hilarious picture. Hilarious picture. Featuring Dave Chappelle at, I guess, his show that he does on tour with Joe Rogan. I think it was recently because the picture of Joe taken with him in his tux with young Jamie and a few other people that are at the show too. But I know it's just an angle thing because clearly, perception angle thing because clearly Dave Chappelle's closer to the camera and Joe is obviously a bit behind, so it makes him look smaller than what he is. But Jesus Christ, Joe Rogan is fucking tiny, innit? Like, and I think someone said, I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Chase Hopper or something, or Hooper. I've got his name. He didn't ask me anything on the Fat and the Kid subreddit, which is really cool. I want to check it out actually later. But he said that he's been around Joe Rogan and seen him in real life, and he says he thinks he's more closer to 5'5" than he's listed height on Google. I think there's like 5'8" or something, but people say he's 5'5", and I think a lot of people said that because they say he maybe wears lifts or chunky shoes. But this man is tiny, innit? Really tiny. So I want to know, people in the stream chat, right? Because let's count Dave Chappelle out of this, but if you could have Joe Rogan's bank balance, right? Especially for something like that's, I wouldn't say easy, but a job that doesn't require crazy amounts of manual labor. Like whatever your dream job is, let's say it's not podcast, let's say it's something else. But if you could make, whatever he makes, right? 300 million on a deal, 50 million. I think before that, people were saying he was making anywhere between like 30 to 60 million per year off his podcast alone from like AdSense on Google, on YouTube and shit, sponsors, blah, 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 blah. If you can make that kind of money that Joe Rogan does, but you have to, be okay with not having any hair in your 30s all the way until whatever age he is now, 50, and also being 5'5", would you take it? I want to know in the stream chat. And I guess for women, the equivalent would be what? If you could have your dream job, but then you'd have to, I don't know. Imagine, if you're a woman, you could have your dream job, but you have to look like Susan Boyle. Let's put that up there. Yeah, let's do that one. So for the ladies in the stream chat, if you make those, the same amount of money that Joe Rogan does, but you have to look like Susan Boyle, right? Would you take it? I want to know in the stream chat. Please let me know. Because I'm in two minds. I'm not really sure if I'd be that much happy about it. Being 5'5", having no hair in my 30s. Because the bald thing doesn't really bother me too much. If I went bald in my late 50s or whatever, fair. I've had a good run with hair. But going bald in your 30s is pretty brutal. But then also being 5'5" is pretty brutal. But then having the bank balance that he does is pretty nice. Do you know what I mean? Where you can just do whatever the hell you want. What would you prefer? What would you prefer? Please, because would you prefer to be 5'5" like this? Have all the money in the world if you're a man or if you're a lady, right? And look like Susan Boyle, but have a crazy bank balance. Let me know. Give me Joe Rogan money and I'll go through transition with potato shin. Oh yeah, true. You could also you could if you wanted to, if you're Joe, you could also get that surgery that people are getting now, innit? Where they're breaking their legs and then putting them back together again to make them taller, or like adding extensions to it and stuff. Yes, spinning back kick my ass. I'm boarding in my 20s. I'm 21 and I'm only 5'8". Yeah, okay, cool. So okay, Teju, you say you're boarding in your 20s, cool. But let's say now you are, you know, you are what you call it? What's that word called? You are a couple inches shorter than what you are now. Would you have that and have Joe Rogan's bank balance? Would you be happy with that? Do you care about your height? I don't know, because I get the feeling Joe has a little bit of small man syndrome. He does that thing where he sits like he sits on chairs how Donald Trump stands, innit? Have you noticed that? Donald Trump stands like a fucking minotaur, innit? Do you know what I mean? In terms of how he tries to maximize as much as he can, so all the inches are up above and shit. And obviously he wears lifts as well. That's pretty obvious. But yeah, Joe does kind of the same thing on chairs. So I think he's a bit conscious, because I think it doesn't matter if you're not conscious about your height, it won't matter. So you just take his bank balance anyway. Fuck it. You can basically buy people's silence with your money, as he's obviously done. Because the other thing about Joe too, he's so tiny, right? Like he legitimately looks like a leprechaun. But no one says anything because of Joe Rogan. No one even teases him that much about it. It's really kind of like done in a really kind of cloak and dagger way, like hee hee ha ha, but no one really rips into him the way they probably should if he's a comedian, right? But because he's fucking Joe Rogan, you kind of don't want to do that to the male Oprah. What are people saying here? I can't be any shorter than 5'6". F the money. Exactly. See what I mean? There you go, Teju. You know, you've been there. So add and then imagine the fucking HGH gut, the massive head. Marty says, I'm 6 foot with a full head of hair. Joe can have it for 400 million. True, okay. Full. Dennis Michael says, would have the motivations to get that kind of cash if he didn't have the little bit to prove. That's a good point, Dennis Michaels. If he was, if Joe Rogan, what's his name? Gordon Ryan. Yeah. If Joe Rogan looked like Gordon Ryan, he probably wouldn't have the motivation to be is Gordon Ryan even tall? I don't know if he's tall. Maybe he's not tall, but let me show a bad example. But if Gordon Ryan's plus 6 foot and he also looks the way he does, would Joe Rogan be Joe Rogan now? Probably not, right? Maybe not. I don't really sure. Maybe Gordon Ryan's a good example because he's already Gordon Ryan. But like maybe the fact that Joe's a little leprechaun, right? Maybe that actually helped him in terms of his success. Like he had to prove himself in some way, because that's what probably got him into fighting, right? Because he says a lot of times that he got into fighting. What was it? No, he was always a lifelong martial artist. Was it? I thought it's because of security guard stuff. I'm not really too sure what the law is about him getting into martial arts, but he's been practicing martial arts for a long time. Maybe because he got beaten up one time. I think that might be the story. He may got beat up when he was younger, and I think he didn't like the feeling of feeling helpless, the kind of common thing that every guy goes through, where you kind of get beaten up by somebody that knows how to fight, and it makes you kind of question life in general. I know it happened to me. I remember being in a fight in school against this kid that used to box, and all I remember when I was fighting him was that I kept seeing like flashes. Like I kept like doing this, like flicking my head back and forth, and every time I kept swinging, I kept missing, like all the time. And it just kept like this guy felt like a ninja to me. And then I remember like it was incredibly humbling, because it made you think, oh shit, if this guy can do this to me, imagine what XYZ person could do to me, sort of thing. And it kind of makes you realize, okay, cool, you're not as tough as you are, and also get in the gym, go practice. You need to learn how to fight properly. So maybe that is, part of it as well. But god damn, this man is tiny, like legit tiny, but he does a good job of hiding it. Do you know what I mean? I think in general, because he sits down all the time. He's not really about at most places. I just think it's funny. It's not really, doesn't really mean anything. Who gives a fuck? Because he's still, he's still a huge inspiration to me. I've been following the guy since 400 episodes deep and stuff, but it's not something anyone really talks about in general, because they're probably wise. They're probably way smarter than I am, and probably know it's a bit of a career suicide thing. But again, I'm not trying to be a stand-up comedian anytime soon, so I don't really give a fuck. But god damn, the guy is short, innit? Legit short. And let's not talk about Dave Chappelle wearing a hoodie with his name on it. Like, I don't know. I love Dave sometimes, but the fact that he gives all the comedians on his show that fucking really cringy necklace. You seen that Dave Chappelle necklace thing he gives all his comedian friends, and they wear it around their neck like it's a Rockefeller chain. Like, come on, man. Have some dignity, have some pride. But hey, Joe Rogan's small, Joe Rogan's short. Big breaking news there. So let's get into the main topic of the day. Let's talk about Bryan Callen appearing on Legion of Skanks. Now, personally for me, I was genuinely surprised when I saw the flipping, ad or little poster thing that Luis J. Gomez posted on his Twitter account. Because I don't know, generally those West Coast dudes don't interact a lot with East Coast comedians. There's a bit of a divide going on there. Most of it is probably artistic based, most of it is ego based, pride based, but in general, you know how comedians are. They're all a bunch of bitches anyway, so I'm sure it's nothing that serious. But there is a difference in terms of culturally or artistically how they approach stand-up. I guess you'd say East Coast is maybe more purist, and obviously West Coast they're more kind of linked to the entertainment industry, putting on a big show, big tours. Like just imagine, look at the difference artistically between flipping Burt Kreischer and Dave Attell. One person drives around in a flipping bus with their face plastered on the side of it. The other guy, chain smokes cigarettes on stage and essentially doesn't really have much of a social media presence, puts out loads of comedy albums and just kind of lives a pure kind of comedian's life sort of thing. And the other one's trying to be, an adult frat boy until he goes, until he's old age, or whatever it may be. So that maybe explains or describes it. But in general, when it comes to Brendan and Bryan Callen, they generally avoid those kind of guys because they're the ones that really take the piss out of them. Even before the whole Kalila thing and Annie Lederman thing happened, the only real pushback or kind of teasing you'd see from any of those towards any people on the West Coast, especially stuff that happened with Chris D'Elia and Brendan and Bryan, will be from East Coast guys. So I just assumed those guys would kind of avoid them because, they're pretty funny, they're pretty witty. They're, East Coast podcasts mostly for the most part, especially the ones on Gas Digital. They're usually just like a podcast where comedians sit around and roast each other and then talk about, general topics. So they're quite good at kind of, getting in on each other. So I would assume they would have avoided it. But Bryan Callen's in a weird predicament. He's in a really strange predicament because essentially one could argue, right, as DSP would say, his career is basically over, isn't it? Especially his career that he wanted, the one where he's in Hollywood doing TV shows and stuff. As much as he likes to, say now that he's all about stand-up, I watched him on flipping Joey Diaz recently, and he was trying to speak as if he was a flipping legit comedian. That's all he wanted to do. If you're a fan of The Fire of the Kid, you'll know that for many, many episodes and many parts of The Fire and the Kid's history, Bryan Callen would turn up late. Sometimes he wouldn't turn up at all or cancel last minute because of an audition, because he was going to read a script or something, do something, but it was always to do with stuff outside of the podcasting. And I think there came a point where Brendan had a chat with him and was like, hey man, this is actually the thing this is the thing that has more legs to it than your actual kind of acting career, and it's kind of showing some immediate results. Like, concentrate on this. And then Bryan eventually did kind of get focused on it, but for a long time he wasn't really bothered about the podcast. He kind of just treated it like, hey, I do it when I do it, but my main thing is to act, which is obviously not a bad thing, but it never really worked out for him. And then when it did start to work out, when it just started to get some steam in terms of him getting his little kind of what's the thing called, his show that he was on called he was on Goldberg's, and he had an offshoot show, a little one called, I think, Scored. It didn't go too far, but still it was a great opportunity to kind of get him on TV on a regular basis and kind of get him in front of people's eyes and maybe remind people of his talent in terms of acting, because I still think he's a pretty decent comedy actor. As soon as that happened, obviously all the stuff happened with Chris D'Elia, and then soon after, when he tried to disown Chris D'Elia, Karma, slapped him in the bum, and basically he got accused of the R word, which is, I think, a far greater crime than diddling some kids who are maybe on the cusp of being 18. Sue me, but I honestly do think it is. Anyway, in general, so his career's kind of over, so maybe this is a good move to basically get him back in the good graces of podcast watchers and listeners. Because if you don't really check the Fighting the Kid subreddit, you might not think Bryan Callen's that bad, and you might think he's quite funny when you see him on podcast. So maybe if he does just get in front of general audience that watch these sort of stuff, it may do him some good in general. But I did think it was a bit of a cucky move to go on a show that they're going to openly mock you just because you want to get people in front of people's eyes, in front of people's screens or whatnot, or on their screen, whatever that term is. It felt a bit, cocky and whatnot. But again, the guy's 50 years old. He's just had a newborn baby. He has another lady he's looking after now. He has to pay alimony and shit. So you got to do what you got to do in terms of keeping the lights on and kind of supporting your family. And, maybe he's, because, I don't know if people actually believe, all this stuff and whatnot. But, I still think, for the most part, he's or his banker dad is probably the one bankrolling a lot of his life. But if he's not, and he has kind of cut the cord and kind of wanting to do his own thing, he needs to support basically 2 households and himself. So maybe it's smart to kind of try your best to get out there and make people aware of you so that you can maybe restart your career. And judging by the views and the likes and stuff, his kind of appearance on Legion of Skanks was pretty well received, considering how, you know, widely hated Brendan Schaub and the Fighting the Kid is in general. The fact that he got this amount of good upvotes and stuff is pretty good. So we're gonna watch it, we're gonna skip around and stuff and see what bits we can kind of laugh about and whatnot, and see Wagwan. Was it 21,000 per month in alimony? Oh my god. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. If he's paying 21,000 per month in alimony, then he definitely needs to be flipping on fucking Legion of Skanks and doing as best as he can to get, you know, those guys to like him and whatnot, because God almighty, that's a lot of money, mate. That is not fucking chump change. He needs to do his best to kind of get those households functioning and whatnot, get his career up and running on podcasting way of things and whatever it may be. But Jesus Christ, 21,000 in alimony. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, let's play the clip and see what the deal is.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hilarious. They're gonna play that what's his face? Cracker Miko song about how much he hates LA and how LA is gay, right? I think that's what. Look how I'm describing it. I'm describing it like a fucking like a boomer. About how crap LA is and how gay it is.
Gay, 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 gay. West Coast, gay. East Coast, flame. I feel like y'all don't believe me, so let's read some motherfucking names. Boy, we got CK in it, bitch. Big J in it, bitch. Louis J in it, bitch. Lot of Daves in this bitch. We got Shane in it, bitch. Vinny Souls in this bitch. Mark Norm in this bitch. Jim Norton in this bitch. Plenty more in this bitch.
And y'all got Whitney Cummings.
LA is so fucking gay. They all woke. Better watch what the fuck you say. And yo, jokes. East Coast, we don't fucking play. We won't smoke. LA, y'all so fucking gay. So fuck LA. And that song God. Fuck your best comedian. His name is Brandon Schuab. We'll fuck him in his face. And we don't care. Why the fuck does Bill Burr even live there? LA so motherfucking gay.
I don't know, B.
What you really trying to do? I better watch how I say this baboon fucking name, cause I probably end up getting sued. This shit got me in the mood. You supposed to take a joke at your motherfucking age. You tape a special and bomb out the stage worse than Travis bomb your fucking face. I gotta say, you're basically Aaron Hernandez. Just look up the stats and y'all one in the same. Both in the closet, you cheat on your women and chronic traumatically damaged your brain. Bet if y'all stuck to the sports, you'd be fine. Could've laid in the back of the cut and just chilled. Only real difference between you and Aaron, what he did was funny and you've never killed. Back in high school, what Letterman? Now you wanna get on David Letterman. The shit's so sad, man, the joke's so bad that he couldn't even get on top of Letterman. Knocked on the door, but she ain't never let him in. Had to tell his woman he was gonna be a better man. On the television, he be lying like the weatherman. Taking down the videos and flushing all the evidence. Crying like a bitch, man, this shit is sickening. You won't even stand up for your brothers when they innocent. Enough about him, I'll give you back to your owners. I promise these cats ain't gonna stop till you're homeless. And that's just one of y'all comics in the land of the fake toxic. I'ma keep the rest of y'all in my back pocket. You better act like Kobe in a cockpit, just drop it. LA is so fucking gay. They all woke. Better watch what the fuck you say. And no jokes. East Coast, we don't fucking play. We want smoke. LA, y'all so fucking gay. So fuck LA. And that song God. Fuck your best comedian. His name is Brenton Schlob. He'll act like he don't, but he do care. Can't believe the rattlesnake almost moved there. LA so motherfucking gay.
Okay, to be fair, I know I listened to this beforehand, but listen to this again. That is absolute fire. Let's not lie. I know it's a broy, chatty song and stuff, but god damn it, that goes hard. And they played this at the beginning of the show while she was sitting there. You had to sit through that entire thing and watch them essentially mock him and all his friends. Oh, God. Now, honestly, man, there's nothing... I don't think there's I think Tim Dillon's right. There's not a worse job or worse profession to have than a stand-up comedian, especially one in LA, especially one trying to chase fame and notoriety and whatnot, because you have to put up with some bullshit in it. You really do. You have to bite your tongue on certain things. You have to, I don't know. Oh God Almighty, it's so embarrassing. Anyway, let's play. Let's go. It's not problem.
When you hear that bomb blast, get a shot blast.
Let's fast forward a bit.
What's going on? Coming to you from the Stand Comedy Club. I'm your host, Big J. Okerson. We got the Skanks all in the house. We got Davey Smith.
What's up? I'll go on the record say that song, Over the Line.
Over the line.
You know, we try to have fun here. I agree. We try to have fun. Why do we need to insult people? You know, that's what I always say.
Is it me? Again, this is I'm nitpicking here. And I'm going to be extremely, autistic, as they say in some communities, right? And this sort of stuff. But is it me? Or is it Bryan putting on a bit of a fucking deep, raspy voice thing? Because obviously I've seen some clips in the show, and he does these weird mannerisms where he's basically trying to assimilate into the environment he's in. So he's trying to act like a bro, like a Chad, like whatever, right? He's trying to come across like one of the boys. But I also think, listening to him in the background, he's got this, yeah, that's really over the line. He's doing this weird, fake, deep voice thing that he doesn't talk like that at all. He's got a bit of a whiny voice, but he's trying to go, yeah. Is it me? Or am I bugging? Just hear for Brendan. Sorry, listen out for Bryan Callen's voice.
Too far. Everybody's laughing with blood in their mouths. Fuck you guys. I'm a New Yorker, motherfuckers.
See? Don't you? Anyway, maybe.
Of course, you know I'm in love with everybody. It's the reigning defending Alice Mania champion, the Puerto Rican rattlesnake.
Let's continue.
Not wrong about that. I go, what, did someone die? What are you dressed like that for? Our guest, everybody, returning to the show. First time live on the show, though, I believe? Absolutely, everybody. You know him and love him. All the way from L.A.
But from New York!
But from New York, everyone, the hilarious...
So now he's from New York. I thought he's from fucking... Where's he from? The Philippines, Afghanistan, or Pakistan, or Saudi Arabia, or I don't know, Tibet. Like, where the fuck is this guy from, man? His dad was a fucking CIA agent, banker, I don't know, whatever else he was. You know, maybe allegedly, some people may say, who knows if that's true, that there is some flipping stuff connected to fucking Jeffrey Epstein. And here he is now. Suddenly he's from New York. Suddenly he's from Brooklyn. All right, Lower East Side, yeah? All right, cool. LES Bryan Callen. Fuck off.
Bryan Callen joins the show.
New York! My mother's born and raised in Brooklyn, motherfuckers!
Bryan Callen. Drill sergeant's yelling in his face, and he's like, "You want me to be your daddy?" And the kid's like, "Yes, I don't have a daddy." That's our entire
pull up that clip, by the way. It's like that clip will, if I'm alone by myself, I will choke up every time that clip comes on.
It may not have been Maury. It was one of those shows.
I think it was Steve Wilkos, actually.
But that's our fan base. They come off like abrasive and rough, but
they just want to dance.
If you come here,
they just want to dance.
It's a community. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to be part of something and a community. So it's kind of like there's an intimate.
Why is he talking like that? Honestly, that voice is so weird. Like, honestly, like he didn't sound like this at all when he was on fucking Joey Diaz. It's a community. It's like, brother, just use your normal voice. Stop trying to be one of the boys. You're not, mate. And also, he's really tiny as well, isn't it? Bryan Callen's tiny. Like, he's absolutely a really scrawny man. It probably explains a lot about the things that he does. Like, he's very, very slightly built, in it. Very waspy. Maybe explains why he's so obsessed with people's frames and shit.
Intimacy. Yeah. The two things that are most rare are intimacy and adventure. Those are the two things that we don't get enough of. That's why
not Lewis. He has it in spades, dude. This guy's always on an adventure.
I'm getting lost in your eyes.
Intimate adventures. That's all I do.
Adventures is Lewis's whole life.
You never been to Jamaica, have you?
You're gonna fight Alice.
I'm gonna.
That is an intimate adventure.
If he knocks me out, he's going to eat my butt. It's going to be an intimate adventure.
How long have they been playing this Ellis fight with Luis J. Gomez? I feel like it's been going on for fucking ages, man. Like, for years and years. Why does it keep not happening and whatnot? Is this going to happen? Or is this not going to happen? I don't know.
Are you? And let me ask you this. Maybe you can't say it. Are you going to go? Are you favoring wrestling, or are you gonna stand and bang?
I am planning on just throwing head kicks. The whole fight
in the air,
nonstop.
In the fucking air.
Wait, Lewis. Before we get into anything, I want to get this out there in the world because I think it's a fantastic idea, and I said it on Bonfire Day, but I want to bring it here because we talked about it. Was I've been watching that show 60 Days In, brand new, and you should be on that show.
What's the show 60 Days In?
They take someone. I said,
you know,
stop.
Think about with jail. I swear to God, my biggest fear: the food. Can't get good coffee or fresh produce.
Yeah,
for my skin.
It's the nonstop raping.
Well, I can't.
That's a problem.
I can't go gluten free in jail. That's my new thing, by the way, is gluten free.
Yeah, you can't do gluten free.
You're gluten free now.
I'm gluten free.
For how long?
You're gluten free
for like 3 days. No, after I went to
Warden, I've been G free for 3 days. Are you prepared to break that streak,
Dougie? After going to Italy,
it must be. I know cancellations aren't the nicest thing, especially if you're somebody just skating by, enjoying your life, and all of a sudden you get this massive article written about you in the Los Angeles Times. But it must be quite comforting to know that you're not ever going to spend any time in prison. Like, really, even if you did do it, what's really going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Pay some money, maybe go and do some counseling and stuff, but you're not really going to face any real consequences. That's the real messed up nature of the justice system in general, whether it's America, whether it's in the UK. If you've got the right connections, you've got enough money, you can weather most storms, unless you outright go and murder people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even that you can maybe survive from. It's very rare that people with any kind of influence, any kind of wealth, really face any kind of harsh consequences for the actions that they do or for the crimes they commit, allegedly or not allegedly. It must be quite comforting. That must make you really be able to sleep easy at night. Do you know what I mean? Just be like, you know what? Got away with it again.
and doing a little bit of research on why I didn't get fat after eating nothing but pasta and pizza for a week.
Gluten.
It's all the fucking dude. I have a massive gluten intolerance. Every time I eat gluten, it feels like there's a big fucking rock in my stomach. I gotta shit my brains out.
So is there not gluten in the...
Oh, come on.
Seriously, I'm talking science.
So am I.
Guys, what is this, fucking Legion of Skanks?
Yeah, we're talking science too. You had to throw yogurt in her snatch just to calm it down.
Don't say snatch, dude. That's where I fucking draw the line. That's where I draw.
What's your
snatch.
word? What's your word for pussy? What's your favorite word?
Oh yeah, is that where you draw the line? As Bill Burr would say, what about all the rapes? Remember Bill Burr was on that TV show and they were like, oh, you should chill out on making jokes about the Catholic Church. He was like, oh, really? Maybe they should chill out on touching the kids and touching the kids. Maybe you should draw the line on rapes. I don't know. Oh,
My
God.
favorite word for pussy?
Yeah.
Honey pot.
Honey pot.
Is that too much?
Aw, that's adorable.
The truth.
I like, what do you call it when you...
Oh, those are some LA laughs there, innit? Those are some industry laughs. Those are, that's an industry laugh if ever I've seen it, mate.
When you're talking to a girl, what do you call her pussy?
Her snatch?
Jesus
You call her
Christ.
snatch? No, you
Don't. He said that out the corner of his
Yeah.
mouth. You don't
I go,
snarl that.
"Yo,"
Don't
I
snarl
say,
it.
what's going on with the box?
Give me
With a
your
side
whole
look.
freak.
That's so romantic.
Yeah.
Let me see that cunt.
Oh, God.
Oh, Lewis.
Oh, Lewis.
That's too far? Are you kidding me?
Oh, Lewis. Well, there's no creativity to it. You know what I mean?
What does a woman want it to be called? Alex, what do you want your pussy to be called?
Oh, come on.
There's got to be a wonderful...
Oh, he fights?
Pull up the slow motion.
Yeah, well, yes,
Oh,
technically.
If he fights, I'm already a little attracted.
He's on Team Rattlesnake. He's one of my proteges.
He is.
Brian,
Yeah.
I mean, he fights.
Brian trying to fake a connection with the host and trying to become their best friend as well is entirely cringe. Like, but I guess it's every common thing most comedians have in it, the need to people please. But it just comes across really nasty and disgusting on this particular episode. Maybe because we know some background on what's going on and stuff. But God damn it, man, just relax, man. Just relax and go with the flow.
Does he get in a cage?
Well, Lewis is protege.
bang it out?
Not in a cage.
Okay.
He's got in a ring, but he goes.
All right.
Lewis beats him up, and then he's like, "Well, I'm training too, so I'm probably ready to fight."
Yeah.
And that wasn't the
And
case.
then he goes and fights weaker people.
Yes. And then he fights weaker people.
And then those weaker people fight weaker people, and then eventually you're just fighting a baby.
Yeah.
Before you know, we're just kicking a baby into a cage.
By the way, I just want to say I'm anti-kicking baby. Where's my camera?
Your close-up's right there.
Yeah,
Gotta
this
make a
is
stand. There. Okay, well he doesn't. I can already.
What's your stance on rapes?
Well, no, that's
that's him.
Oh,
The guy with the
all
stomach.
right. I like that. You know what?
Oh, come on, let's continue.
I believe.
Twitter.
Oh, Booger Beard?
Booger Beard's talking all the shit.
You don't want him with
Twitter,
Booger Beard.
So
you don't want to get on Booger Beard's wrong side. There's boogers there.
Booger Beard. What was the thinking in the frosted tips, and what is that color?
They're not frosted tips. This is the bleach from underneath when I had it colored red.
There you go.
The thought process there,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's a.
Just trying to.
You know what's interesting? I've always thought whenever you see somebody, especially a comedian that looks the way that Big J Ogerson does, or anybody in general in life, you should probably assume that they probably are lethal when it comes to insults and disses and stuff. Because if Big J Ogerson chooses to look the way that he does like this in 2022, it's fair to assume that he's been getting teased and insulted his entire life for the way he looks, the way he highlights his hair, the way he cuts his beard, the lame tattoos he has, wallet chains, and all this sort of nonsense stuff like he's stuck in 2003. So most likely he has some pretty good, decent comebacks. So the fact that he's so prepped and ready to kind of get back at Bryan is really hilarious because Bryan doesn't know he's walking into a hornet's nest. Do you know what I mean? Because Big J is legitimately maybe the funniest guy on Legion of Skanks.
I live out loud, pay less attention to my body, more attention to my head.
Wow.
Can I just say, if you just paid a little bit of attention to the body, you wouldn't have to pay as much attention to your head.
Yep.
I don't pay a lot of attention to my head, but it draws attention from my body.
Do you think that people don't know you're fat because of your hair?
Yeah.
I think it is.
I got lost in his hair.
I think it is loudly calling attention to the rest of you.
I kind of want to break a piece off and stab somebody with it.
No, it's soft. It's soft. You're gonna think it's hard, but I use good product.
No, I would love my
Jay has hair like he's going to be a public school teacher featured on Libs of TikTok.
Yeah, that was good.
That's good.
What is Libs of TikTok?
You've never seen Libs of TikTok?
I haven't.
Oh, dude, pull it up. Libs of TikTok.
It's just,
on
they
Twitter.
just show how crazy social justice warriors are teachers in school.
Oh, come on, boring.
Papa, are you maybe the problem? Damn. And the student becomes the teacher.
My son made such a great observation today. He goes, I think my stepdad is the male role model in my life.
Oh, shit. Big up the super chat.
I know Callen flounders and sweats during this, but starting off with the crack Hamiko had to kind of rattle him at the start.
Yeah, true. To be honest, very much so. I'd imagine, legitimately, because Bryan Callen is a fucking boomer. I'd imagine, because I don't believe Brendan when he says it, but I'd imagine Bryan Callen definitely hadn't seen that video before or watched it in full in any kind of meaningful way. So I had to sit there and listen to it blaring, because I think they host Legion of Skanks at a comedy club or something, or a bar. So it's they probably put the mics through a pretty decent sound system. So you're hearing this shit loud in the club, fully, just maybe you're one drink deep, you're not that drunk at all, so you hear everything this guy's saying, which is pretty insulting to all your friends and everybody you hold dear in the scene, in the community. The only person he didn't really go after, Crack Amico, was Joe Rogan, but for the most part he attacked everybody in that industry, especially Brendan. He got the most of it, the brunt of it, so it might have been pretty hilarious to see. Maybe he laughed and chuckled at the Whitney Cummings bit, because I think Whitney Cummings and Bryan Callen are never going to be friends again after what happened, but it's pretty hilarious to see that. But yeah, big up Dennis Michaels for the super chat. I appreciate you, my friend.
Wow.
No, what? There's some other great observation. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know, Lewis. We're trying to fill in the blanks.
That actually stopped Lewis for a second.
I asked my dad to go get us baseball gloves, and he came back with batting gloves.
Big J's funny. I don't give a shit. He's really funny.
No, his observation was that Freddy Krueger.
Oh, come on.
In 25 years, tell him the story of that.
Well, that was murdered when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Like if you...
But most things, like most people that are
if you're content, yuck.
Well, also like most, you got to compensate. You always got to be compensating. I mean, I wouldn't be this muscular if it wasn't for my fucking problem.
You got to ask yourself, lady, do you want these abs?
The fact that Bryan keeps looking at I know it's probably his first time, so he's a bit put off by how he has to sit, because they're basically sitting in front of the audience, right, with their back to them. But him basically turning around and seeking the audience approval is like, come on, man, like, I don't know. He saw a place.
Or do you want a guy who's stable?
It's the question I ask every time, bro. You understand me?
Hell
you
yeah.
fucking understand me.
I asked the same question, and I hope they asked the other way.
I wish my
I could act stable for a while.
I wish my pain manifested itself by doing ab work. That would be awesome.
Oh my god, I know. It's like, when I'm frustrated, I just got to go work out.
No, I just eat by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
fucking
saying?
Cool
I think
Ranch
that's-
Doritos in a hotel room alone.
I
Is
wish.
that weird?
What's that?
To eating Cool Ranch Doritos at 2 a.m. in a hotel room by yourself?
No,
Is that weird?
no,
Have you ever done
dude.
Cool Ranch Doritos?
Between the people you want to have sex with sometimes and the people you want to have kids with. You know what I mean?
Yo, I don't know. Considering what you've been accused of in the past and considering your perilous position in your career, should you really be getting on the podcast talking about all of this sexual stuff? Probably not, innit? Maybe not the wisest things to get into, to be honest. But it obviously proves that my man hasn't really got that much to talk about outside of physicality, sex, dicks, crappy flipping, history tidbits that he picked up from podcasts, but he pretends he read books. Like, have we still got the episode of the Bookless Book Club yet? I'm not too sure. But yeah, maybe not the best topic to kind of lean into.
At least until you mature, like me. But when you're younger, it's like she's got a bat tattooed to her face, track marks. Sign me the fuck up, you know?
Those are the girls.
I'll give you a drawer in my house. I'll give you a drawer. That
Okay, it's fucking...
Time it wasn't being done, so it really caught people. But even going back now, and I think that everything someone said, like, you can't say that on stage. I watch it, and I'm like, it's just a stupid fucking joke. And but Dice had things. It would be like, it was like tags were not, like, he wasn't creative enough with like the thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't a layered enough joke. So he'd be like, these Japs with all the money. He goes, what were there? Sony Walkmans?
Yeah.
And those fucking bombs? He goes, you slanty-eyed, fuck you. When you watch it, you go, like,
much.
yeah, you can't do that.
also not that creative.
It's not that you can't say slanty-eyed fuck. That's going to be sandwiched between something.
I remember I played it for my dad. My dad's a Marine, not a fucking, and I played his.
My dad is a Marine. Your dad's a fucking banker, mate. Come on, let's get it right. Your dad may have been a Marine when he was younger, but he's more well known for being a banker. This guy, man, the reinvention of his fucking personal history, of his, whatever, it's just funny to see.
I say let's get that
Yeah,
out of the
you want
way.
to start with it?
I say let's start with the small dick competition.
Oh, these are things that are going to take a while.
Yeah. So, all right. So in the other two rounds, we saw the smallest dicks. Then we had them get hard.
Well,
which
should we catch Brian up on what's going on here?
Well, yeah. All right, so the Small Dick Golden Ticket Contest, Skankfest is happening October 14th through 16th. Shout out to Yo Creator for supporting Skankfest and all that we do.
Shout out to Christina and Rebecca working their nuts off right now in the crunch.
I don't want to see flaccid penises on my screen right now, to be honest.
So, for my
he's gonna have a cop shoot him to death.
Oh no, he's gonna put Skittles in his hole, in the hole where his dick is when it's
Dude,
soft.
let him tell it, Jay.
That's my
Spoiler
guess.
alert, you dick.
It's a guess.
All right, fine. We're guessing.
I can fit into my dick cave. And for those of you who don't know what a dick cave is,
All right, we're not gonna do that.
It's like
oh no.
That's the fucking dude. I'll have a gun.
Oh no. I do.
You have a gun, no
I
matter
do.
what.
No, I do.
I mean,
You either have a gun, you're gonna die at
diabetes
50.
or a fucking gun.
Oh no. I do exercise and try to.
Okay, moving on to that.
He goes, dude, can I borrow your laptop for a second? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, fine. And then Lewis just texted me. He goes, are you serious right now?
Oh yeah.
And I
How are you?
Comedy has changed, dude. It was fucking crazy. He had a pizza. He was so happy. He's like, dude, they're giving away free pizza at this pizzeria on the corner. And I was like, oh yeah. And I just smacked it out of his hands.
As long as everybody understands that we're all kidding around, that's how we deal with the insanity of
It
life.
died with
I
Patrice,
don't-
dude. I'm telling you,
I
it
don't
died with
think
him
so.
because it's
I don't
not
think so.
truth.
Because no
The
one
truth
else
died with
because
Patrice.
no one else is willing to like be the voice of it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
but I
Except Dave Chappelle, who's a horrible voice for it. He's going and goes, we should be able to say whatever we want. I'm the best. You're like, okay.
I think all of us could do it. I think that's your job. I think at the end of the day,
But you don't do it, do you, mate? You don't.
you're you know.
Yeah, I don't think
if you don't if you shy
Dude,
from
I've heard-
that,
I don't think it needs a Patrice. It's not like a top-down
Yeah, it's
thing.
I think it's a cultural thing where people have the sensibilities are being sort of worn down and worn away. So like we have a bunch of savages on our audience, but I think this is sort of a dying breed of like comedy
is.
fan. What they're consuming on television and they're consuming in podcasts and on radio.
Oh yes. Speaking of their fan base, I'm legitimately considering going to Skankfest next year. I don't know where they're gonna have it. I know last year's one was in Las Vegas, which I would have loved to have gone to. But if they have a Skankfest in New York, or maybe somewhere else in America that might be quite cool to go to, I'm absolutely interested in going. So I'm going to save my holidays from my work and not book anything crazy and see if I can book a week off or a week and a half off and go and, chill out there and visit wherever flipping state it's in, visit the city, hang out for a bit, go to Skankfest and chill. That might be an absolute situation. I might have to do something like that and maybe put together a vlog for it or something. That might be quite cool. So, watch this space. Whenever they announce it, I'm going to think about it and see where the location is. And if it makes sense, I'm going to try and go. It might be quite fun to check it out.
Video, it's just sort of like it's like a subliminal woke message that's like I find.
Oh yeah, for sure, Marty Moose, for sure. Let's cross our fingers and see what's the deal. But I'm definitely down, man. I want to check it out. I want to see what it's about in real life because it looks pretty fun.
There's already resistance to it, though.
But there's resistance to it. But I don't think it's possible. I think it's fucking in the algorithms. It's in the media.
When I thought it was over, there was a girl, some show in L.A. where these guys do characters to host the show, and they're shock jocks.
Right.
That's the I don't know the show, but I just know this girl did the show, and they brought her up, and they kept saying something about her tits, her big tits, or whatever. And when she came off stage, she went immediately didn't say a word to them.
Yeah.
Who were guys who were doing a character that might have been like, oh, I'm sorry. She just went on Twitter and was like, these guys, I don't know how I feel about this. Like these guys, they did these shocks and they brought me on stage, and she kind of gave like a bad rundown of the story too, just to say like they're doing.
Well, her tits were weighing her head down.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, her tits, and then.
Josie, is that true? Skanfest is in. I don't think so. I don't think it's in Vegas again next year. I haven't seen it being announced anywhere. I remember I checked it recently, a couple of weeks ago. I didn't see anything announced about it. But even if it is sold out, I'm sure I'll be able to get tickets again. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to go. Would like it to be somewhere on the East Coast, but hey, not really bothered.
I mean, right up by the third message, it was somebody going like, "Well, at least give us their names so we can like ruin them and like blast
That's
their
the problem
social
with
media and fuck up their career." And it's like fuck up their career for.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane.
But
and I was like, "That's
yes, just this thing. That'd be sick if you can as well. That'd be awesome."
Over, dude. Because here's the thing. Someone told me there's I forget what it. I wish I had more exact details on this, but someone said they were talking to someone who was like, "Yeah, you want me to fucking cause problems for so and so this week?" And they started some like Twitter thing that was like so and so, and it was something that was easily squashed. But he was like, "Look how much I'll make it." This guy for a day.
I've lived it.
He'll have to find for a day that he's not a pedophile.
Yeah, I fucking lived that, and
right,
I have friends that lived it. And what you do is the only thing you can do. You can't fight that.
It's fuck a child.
You cannot fucking fight that.
The only thing.
What you can do if you're Bryan is that you can get on camera, cry that your friend got accused of diddling kids, then immediately throw him under the bus by saying that you're not his friend, then delete all the pictures of you and him together to make sure people know that he's not your friend, then only a couple of weeks later, then get accused of raping and potentially assaulting and coming onto various women without their permission. That's what you could do.
I'm already paying the price.
Like, how about that, dude?
No, wait, Lewis.
I'm going to take it.
You're over the line. but there's always the more crazy it gets, the more oppressive that it gets, where you can't speak your mind and you can't even fucking.
He talks all this big blowhard nonsense, but in his actual real life, he doesn't do any of this stuff. When he had the biggest platform, when the Frightened Kid was the hottest shit out there, he did none of this. He just talked about big dick bandits and made funny noises and shit. That's all he did, right? And act like a comedic punching bag for the likes of Chris D'Elia and Will Sasser back in the day. He did nothing of any sort of substance or note. His comedy specials were trash. Everything around it was trash because he was obviously focusing more on his acting. So all this kind of blowhard, we are the people, freedom of choice, Braveheart nonsense he's spouting is absolute gobbledygook, like absolute gobbledygook. And it's all kind of, circumstantial because he's only doing it now because this is the position that he's kind of been forced to adopt because he has nothing else. Now he's trying to turn into bloody free speech bastion on fucking, come on, man, get out of here.
Joke. Let me tell you what happens. A whole marketplace like this opens up that one.
What's that, Nico Moore? Hey, actually, no, I texted you on Instagram earlier today. It's a big deal. Go on there and check it out. Okay, I can't do it right now because my computer's gonna be running slow and I don't want to share with all my fucking DMs. But I will check it out. I promise. I'll get back to you, Nico Moore. Thank you for reaching out. I will get back to you. I promise.
Wants to hear.
But will it be bigger than the black market, though? That's what I'm saying. Will it be bigger than the black market, though? Like you don't need more than that.
No way, no.
A subculture's
black
enough.
market has Nike,
A subculture's enough fans for you to live the rest of your life.
Look. Outlaws. Silicon Valley was started by outlaws. Outlaws start trends. So when
you're not an outlaw. You're not a fucking Hell's Angel. You're just a guy that tells jokes on stage and has a semi-popular podcast, and you're friends with Joe Rogan. Let's relax. Let's relax.
Anytime you see anything that was worth it, that created great creativity, they were always outlaws. So right now, people that speak their mind are the outlaws. Yes, it's dangerous.
Right, brother.
Competition, but can I just point out for the record that 10 out of 10 times, Lewis starts these conversations
but then I regret it.
and then goes,
You look like a ball player.
Yeah, no, I'm thick.
Lewis is getting in shape.
But how much
Get in
weight?
shape, though.
How much is it going to be hard for you to get down to 195?
No, I'll get down to 205 pounds.
Really?
I'll be a month before the fight, and then I'll set the
Water
cut.
weight or fat?
It's gonna happen, bro. It's gonna happen.
Like your special. By the way, you do have a special out, right?
Fuck yeah, man tears. If you guys like laughing really hard for 50 minutes, otherwise don't watch.
Do you want to do?
Who's watched it? Who's watched it? Not bad, right? What do you think? All right, good, dope. I got dope. Fucking lazy.
Dope.
I got a lazy dope.
That's good though. That's who watches specials. You guys just sit back and they go, nice.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, I'm the same way. I can't even. I had to.
Asking somebody who watched it, asking a crowd who watched my special was very sad. Very sad. That is man tears. Who watched my special? Man tears.
I was like, I'm so sick of myself. And 50 minutes is too long in this TikTok world. It should have been about 15 seconds.
27 minutes, the perfect amount of time for a special. I think
That's a perfect joke that he didn't get there. I knew he'd say that. That's the length of Brendan Schaub's comedy special. That was meant to be 30 minutes. And it was not even 27 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, it's 27 minutes of video clip, but the actual comedy side of things is maybe 23, maybe 22 minutes. Because obviously there's the intro and the outro and shit. Like, the guy couldn't even do a full 30 minutes, man. Absolutely crazy.
I'm going to break
How much?
it up.
27 minutes.
I'll break it
Really?
up.
I'm gonna do about.
Yeah, wait till I break
40
it up, everybody. Wait till it's fragmented, you fucks.
All right, last one. Debo, number 3. Yeah, Debo. Show is small.
Oh, come on, let's continue.
It's like that Sylvester Stallone movie where he worked for a securities company.
That's triggering. That's triggering, isn't it? So one day, Brian was at Sylvester Stallone's house with all those big celebrities, and that will never happen again, innit? That picture, like, that must be brutal. Let's see here. Can I see it? Bryan Callen. Let's see here. Sylvester Stallone. Do you remember that picture? That was an epic time in history, innit? That's never gonna happen again. That must be brutal. That must be the peak of what cancellation is, right? The fact that you could be around all these heavyweights in the industry, all these stalwarts in the industry, and then over, just a period of a couple of allegations, quite quickly, it all comes fucking tumbling down. That must be fucking brutal to take. Like, just imagine. This is what you had. You had this. You were hanging around with all these big dogs, right? Like, I don't know, some of these guys I know the names of, other of them I just know their faces, but look, man, you got fucking Guy Fieri, mate, Mr. Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives, mate, fucking legend he is, right? Absolute boss of a dude. You got fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger there in the background. You got this guy here, he's pretty decent in movies, right? Imagine, and then it's all over. I know it's harsh to laugh, but it's fucking hilarious, man. It really is. These motherfuckers are riding a wave, man. They had just look at them. They had their career handed to them in a silver platter. And if they just would have been able to keep their fucking dick in their pants, right? And just, stayed on the path, did their thing, spoke to their audience, tried to make us best show. Because even thinking about Frighten the Kid show really fell off mostly because they just didn't really make it interesting, right? They didn't really evolve it or develop into anything. It just became like a kind of a weird sort of it just turned into like an opportunity for them to catch up. It wasn't necessarily a fun show. There's no real segments on there. They just talk about stuff that happens in culture online. It's not like your mum's house, for instance, that kind of constantly has new little bits of stuff come out from them, user submitted or fan submitted content. Like, I don't know. But yeah, even Chris, the main diddler, they're in the background staring into the abyss, and the abyss staring back into him. Do you think any of these guys have replied back to the text messages? The phone goes and they're all proper brand, like all those guys, flipping, what's his name? Frank Grillo is tied to Netflix. That's a big brand, production company. He's going actually through a divorce, so he has to mind these P's and Q's. Guy Fieri is obviously tied to many networks. Like, they just can't have any negativity around it whatsoever. So they just probably avoid them like the plague. But Hollywood is brutal, man. Brutal. Hey, continue.
And then he goes in, but then they lose his file.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, and he's in the most hardcore maximum security prison ever. And that's a whole premise of the movie.
Oh my God. What if Lewis has to take his face off and put it on another face of a prisoner? And then they.
If you worship famous people, that's gay. That's one of the tenets of being a real ass dude. All right. So
I am
as soon as somebody gets
huge Nate Diaz fan, but I will agree with you that going to the after party, especially just kind of
having a full-fledged conversation in the room, it's psychotic.
Erin's the
You're
mayor.
the only one who does that.
She's the mayor of the audience, dude.
She's the mayonnaise of the audience.
All right.
Life is a biggest dick competition, and you get great prizes for having a big dick until it's not until it's too big, right?
Dude, when Dave decided, he goes, "Hey, you know what? I think I want to set."
Okay.
Scolded him, and then you brought him back into the
Can I do
fold.
something? Maybe
Dude, this is called gaslighting in real time.
Very impressed.
If you don't know how to gaslight your
Dude, I
employees,
know.
you don't know how to do it. End of October.
This is I get what the stream said. This is pretty boring, isn't it? They went really soft on him. This happens quite often with these guys. They talk a big game, and this is why sometimes I don't like when they go in on Brendan and Bryan sometimes, even though I'm not really a big fan of the show anymore, at all in general, especially being a former fan. But they love to talk behind these guys' back and really get at them and really dig them out. But then when they're in front of them, they really go out of their way to be as nice as possible, because obviously they know how tied they are to Joe Rogan and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, in the words of August Alsina, maybe keep the same energy, right? If you do think my comedy shit and you do insult the way I speak, and you don't think I'm cool, or you think I'm redacted, or whatever it may be when it comes to Brendan, maybe just keep the same energy and don't talk to my friends. Just kind of you just stay over there, I stay over here. But this whole ribbing and then sucking up to these guys when they come on camera, it's a bit weird. Don't get me wrong, I don't want them to go in on them and lay them out and kind of turn it into a fucking roast session, but this was oddly tame for what Luis J. Gomez and Leading the Skank guys do in general, right? This is meant to be the most offensive podcast in the world, and this is anything but that.
Lots of other dates coming up as well.
Magooby said they Faction Talk Series XM 103 with me and Dan Soder. This weekend again in Palm Beach. After that, everybody, I'm going to be in with Ari one night only in Las Vegas at Wise Guys. Are you going to be there, Lewis?
I saved Harlem. I'm not reading that, but that's fucking hilarious and true.
I am not, unfortunately.
Lewis is not going to.
And I read that in the Bill Burr voice as
be
well.
there, but it's going to be fun.
Congdon's
I think
gonna
Kim Congdon's going to come hang. Yeah, that'll be fucking awesome. Then I'm in Columbus the Friday and Saturday of that week. Columbus, Ohio. Check that out.
I want to get this right.
This question we've all answered before.
Go ahead.
Do you know with 100% certainty that you are not bisexual?
Yes.
All right, that's what Lewis said, and it turned out he's bisexual. So I'm just saying, we'll find. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying Lewis is.
Dave, just so you know, by the way we did this,
I'm holding my hands like this.
you're going to have the
right?
last option of having to ask some question.
Oh, God damn it.
No, I'll say right now.
Are you asking right? No,
it's my
ask it
favorite
right now
question.
because it'll set up the last question. Tell you the best.
Wait, are you ready, Bobby?
Did I miss a few questions on here or not?
4, 3, 2,
5, 6, 7,
1.
8. Schlemiel. Schlemazel.
Ready? Bryan Callen. Do you think Brendan Schaub is funny?
Yes.
Well, that was a quick answer, man.
Well, by the way, I'm glad we brought this up, you motherfuckers. All you motherfuckers. If you knew that motherfucker, if you knew him, I promise you would love that guy.
Zakamiko's face. It's Krakamiko's face. Look at his face. Krakamiko's face. That's not what we asked. We asked you if you think he's funny. And the first thing you said is if you know that guy, you would love him. This is the common thing that people always... This is the one thing I'm confused about when it comes to people who are generally disliked on the internet, especially when it comes to their friends. They can't seem to understand why people who don't know them might think they're unlikable or might not like them as people or just generally get turned off by them, right? They have no idea why. And they just say, no, but if you knew him like I do, oh yeah, of course. If we knew most people like most people do. Maybe we'd think they're all nice, but sometimes you only get one chance at a first impression, or maybe snapshots of somebody's fucking personality or how they go on by the content they put out, and sometimes that's enough. So the fact that he kind of keeps saying this sort of stuff, like, oh, if you only knew him, if you only knew, it's like, but we don't know him. We only know what we see online, and from what we see online, we think he's pretty unlikable and doesn't have many redeemable personality traits. You know what I mean? It's just reason why there's a fucking 90,000 strong homeless cat contingent who are, sole purpose is to basically uncover all the shitty things he does over a period of time. There's a reason before that, but for some of these guys, they just can't see it. But it makes a lot of sense because, Brendan pays this guy's salary, so it makes sense why he'd defend him to that respect. And essentially, Brendan is now his daddy, hence the fucking title of Bryan fucking cucking out on the show. But this is just so weird. Such a weird defense of somebody. Especially when you ask that question, do you think it's funny? And your first thing you're saying is if you know him, it'll be cool. Like, what?
That's what I had to say. And that's my ride or die motherfucker. And I would fight the world for that guy.
I've met Brendan.
I stand with that guy.
I respect that.
No matter what.
I respect it.
He is not.
He also doesn't need you to fight for him.
I know he doesn't. He doesn't. But I would.
You would probably slow him down substantially.
Yeah, I would.
He could dispose of this room.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could. But he is. Listen, I want to say this. He's a great person. Anyone who knows him loves the motherfucker.
No, they don't. There's many people who know him who don't like him. There's been a bunch of women who've basically come out and said that he's pretty much a piece of shit for the most part. What he did to fucking Bobby Lee wasn't great. He fucking wound you up to the point where you fucking screamed at Bobby Lee, who was meant to be one of your good comedies industry fucking friends. Like, I don't know, that's a good example, a recent one. Like, the story of him fucking chucking that guy through a fucking window isn't necessarily a good thing either, is it? Some of these guys, honestly, man, it's pretty admirable how unaware and how unwilling they are to see the errors of their friends. But come on, let's be real.
We didn't ask if he was a good person. We asked if he was funny.
All right. And by the way, he kills me. He's been making me laugh for fucking 9 years on the podcast. He kills me. So yes, the answer is yes.
All right. Oh, we should have showed you guys. Have you ever seen Bryan and Schaub's Brokeback Mountain commercial for fucking Sam Adams?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty funny. It looks like they're about to fuck in a tent.
Okay, let's watch that then.
Is that it? Yes, I am. So many other people to hate. Get the fuck out.
Should we watch him and Brendan make out in this commercial for Sam Adams?
Yes, watch that. Because you guys, he's a good person.
It's
there are
on
other people to
YouTube.
hate. There's
No, there isn't. Sometimes there's. But who else should we hate? Can Bryan name some names? Who else should we laugh at instead of Brendan Schaub? Can you name some names of people who have done? Because that's the thing with Brendan as well. He's not even that long in the tooth as a comedian. He came into it fairly late, and he's already done so many horrible things to different people. First of all, fucking suing a YouTuber because they may have uncovered the fact that you might have publicly cheated on your wife is fucking nuts. Honestly, just imagine if another stand-up comedian decided to sue a YouTuber for maybe highlighting the fact that he passed a note to some random woman on a live stream. In the back, again, bad Brendan Schaub luck that he happened to be on live stream in the background, this massive mansion, handing someone a note that could have been him handing a business card to come and be a fucking intern. I don't know, who knows, but it's just hilarious, man. It's fucking hilarious.
so many other people to hate. Get the fuck out of here.
First of all,
we do not. By the way, I very much like Brendan Schaub.
Thank you.
Every time I've met him, he's been lovely.
I've met him a couple times briefly, but he sent me a fucking really nice message after the last time I was on Rogan and was like, "Hey, dude, really loved your appearance." And I was like,
cocking out.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that.
He doesn't think Lewis is funny, though.
He did. He said that in the message, which was so weird.
He's like, why does my friend Lewis get funny?
Loved you on Rogan. Lewis isn't funny. And I went, thank you. Was that?
Yeah, it's interesting that Brendan specifically hates Louis J. Gomez because from what I've seen, because Brendan does this weird thing where if somebody doesn't say bad things about him, he tends to like them. And then he makes a first move and pretends to be nice and sends a message so that they are like, oh, cool, he's cool. And does I mean, so I think because Lucio Gomez never shied away from sharing his opinion of Brendan and his comedy, he instantly just didn't like him based off that, but not because of anything else. But the rest of them, Big J and Dave, have kind of been nonplussed and just thrown the jabs here and there. So he kind of automatically likes them more. It's really interesting approach to stuff. Like it's quite calculated, quite interesting. If you don't say nothing bad about him and you just kind of remain neutral or just say something general, he tends to kind of be okay with you. The moment you actually share your actual opinion of him and say, hey, I don't like this, something like that, suddenly he's like, nah, you're not my guy. And he kind of goes crazy on you.
That last part necessary, and he just replied back, yes.
Yes, it was.
And as we
A
haven't
resounding
spoken-
What did Brian say about that? Nothing, right? Zero. He was defending his boy all day long, but what did he say about him just hating Lucio Gomez for nothing? Let's see.
Yes, he's unimpressed with you.
Yeah, I only met Brendan one time at the Comedy Store, and he was a very, very nice guy.
Yes.
I think we've made jokes on the shows.
What's funny is that, like, you see people like online for whatever reason. And part of it's because he kind of like, look, he got like, he fast tracked in comedy.
But you put
because
that on
he
me.
was
That's not Rogan.
that's-
Oh my God. Fuck off, Callen. Shut up. Why is he getting so irate and so wound up about this? Like, to defend your friend, really, you don't need to get this wound up. You just need to just be quiet and let people talk about what they want to speak about. And then when it comes your time to speak, say, hey, that's not the guy that I know. And the guy that I know is a really cool, decent guy. So you're not going to hear me say anything wrong about my guy. That's my guy. And if you guys continue over to the mark, I'm going to leave the show or something along those kind of lines. You don't need to start to get irate and start to puff your chest out and act like you're going to do something. Just relax. It's just jokes. It doesn't really matter anyway. The guy drives a fucking Ferrari and lives in a mansion. He's going to be fine. Like, he doesn't need you to defend him. Do you know what I mean? But it goes to show that in this scene, comedy especially, just in this little industries like this, no matter how much money you make, sometimes the love from your peers and just the general admiration from the fan base goes a long way, maybe more so than the money you make. And I think comedy is like that for some reason. Like, you know, what's his name? Carlos Mencia probably makes a decent amount of money from comedy. But the fact that he can't hang around with people or go on their podcasts or, you know, be seen with certain people, it must eat away at him. Do you know what I mean? It must eat away at him. Even though he's got a really decent career, he gets to tour around the world, you know, provide for his family and whatnot. But he still can't ingratiate himself in this little, you know, boys club that they have going on podcasts and comedy shows and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, like, this is proof of it because Brian's going fucking crazy with the defending. With that fucking weird fake deep voice thing he's got going on.
People put that on Rogan. This is the guy. That guy, he went from being a
And this is a weird thing to also take credit for. I like that you're smiling. Why is he taking credit for and being boisterous the fact that he's the reason why Brenda's doing comedy? He's trying to say it in a way of like, hey, don't blame him for doing it again, fast track, blame me. No, you have to blame him because, again, the story goes, if you listen to their podcast, because, again, these guys, I think, just forget that they record everything they say. But quite recently, maybe a few months ago, Brendan finally admitted it on the show that, because, again, loads of people would always say, like, why the fuck would you take a Showtime special 2 years or 3.5 years into comedy? And especially if you're not a naturally funny dude, which Brendan never was. He was never naturally funny. He maybe developed some funny chops on the podcast, but it's nothing that would maybe give you the idea that he could be a good stand-up comedian. So it was always going to be a hard slog. He didn't work it. He didn't figure it out because obviously he didn't approach it in the right way. He was performing loads of shows in front of his own fans, not actually going on the road and performing in front of strangers. He refused to do open mics for some reason. My stage shows open, like weird ideas around it. He just had a weird complex. So it didn't work out from the beginning, right? But in general, everyone used to ask, why would he take a Showtime special so early? And a lot of people would say he doesn't have any real friends around him. But the real truth of the matter is, especially when you relate that back to Brendan Schaub's last appearance on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said at the time he was going to tell Brendan not to take it, but he didn't want to because he felt bad for telling him to quit UFC. So there's already that lingering in here. So that obviously explains a lot of why Rogan is also over the top nice to Brendan and goes out of his way to help him because he kind of feels like Brendan changed his career based on what he said in the podcast. So he's indebted to him in that way. Cool. The other side of things is that Brendan admitted recently that Bryan Callen did advise him not to take the Showtime deal. and not do a special so early on. Bryan did say don't do it, but Brendan, because he's, you know, his ego is insane. At that time, even 3 years into comedy, he said with his own mouth that the reason why he thought Bryan said that was because he thought Bryan was jealous of his success in such a short space of time, and he thought he was trying to purposely hold him back. That's why he refused. That's why he refused to not take the Showtime deal and he took it instead. So crazy way to admit that sort of thing. And so to sit there and then say, you should blame me is a wild admission too, because no, you should blame the guy who didn't approach it the right way, didn't respect the craft, and produced 2 of the worst specials known to man next to his name, which would never ever be forgotten. No matter how good he gets as well now, he's got those 2 smudges on his fucking record for nothing. He just should have just taken it slower and he would have been fine. But hey, what can you do?
Fighter. He didn't fight for long. He was a football player. And then he gets in a cage where they would lock it and fight other monsters.
Yep.
And then his dream was always.
See how he started there? Then he what? Then he fumbled and stumbled across stand-up.
Would lock it and fight other monsters.
Yep.
And then his dream was always to be a fucking.
No, it wasn't. Stop lying. He wanted to be a national football player. That didn't work out. He was athletic enough to, you know, leapfrog his way into the UFC before it was really high-level skilled people, especially in heavyweight. He did pretty decently at the time, but then obviously his skill level wasn't good enough to continue on, retired. And then obviously he had a podcast that was booming at the time. At the right time, he converged with him quitting, him going on Rogan, all that good stuff. Podcasting wasn't as big as it was nowadays, and those guys hit the lottery and absolutely rode that wave, and now they're basically, you know, back to kind of, you know, dithering along. But the fact that this guy's reinventing or rewriting his origin story is crazy. Oh, big up Amy K2 in the chat. Long time no see. Big up you. What's it saying? Schaub said he wrote that for Cheetah Dragon minutes before he took the stage. Sounds legit. Exactly. Press X for doubt on that one, Martin Moose. Press X for doubt.
And I'm the guy that made him do that. I'm the guy.
You stupid asshole.
Get him.
Wait. People say like Rogan fast tracks him. Get the fuck out of here.
He did, though. You get as many appearances as Brendan did on Joe Rogan. That could help your comedy career. But the story does go that Bryan was a person who told Brendan to go out on stage and do 10 minutes opening, which kind of turned into quote-unquote stand-up. That's what led him to get interested in it. But it's a good hustle, don't get me wrong. If you've got a booming podcast and you do live shows and people are willing to pay money to see you perform bits and stuff on stage, fair play. But if you're going to be a legit comedian, you can't just perform in front of your own audience. You just can't. You have to perform in... Even I as a DJ, I know that. You can't just play in front of your home crowd all the time. You have to kind of go out there and test yourself in different environments, different settings to see what you're actually made of. Like, but, you know, he just didn't want to do that. And he doesn't do that to this day. He still performs his own shows.
Dude, I get it. I would tell a hot chick that she'd be a great comic if she's flirting with me. You think I'd be funny? I'm like, so funny.
I'm going to say this to you, too. Don't bet against that motherfucker. It's going to take... don't bet against him.
But my point is that I think that almost like breeds...
What does that even mean? Don't bet. What does that... This is the thing. No one's betting against the guy. He's been very successful in business. He's done pretty well in terms of keeping that podcast alive, especially during the pandemic, especially when 2 of his close friends who he relied on in terms of views and content both got cancelled, right? And that essentially ostracized him from the comedy community. You can see now the consequences of it, right? They rarely, if ever, get any decent LA comics on anymore, rarely get any good East Coast comics on anymore. It's just kind of their close circle of friends who don't mind risking their career to get on this podcast because no one wants that association, you know, with flipping Bryan for his obvious, you know, allegations, and obviously Brendan for the drama that he went through. So they're obviously feeling the effects of it. But the question at hand isn't about him as a businessman. Clearly he's done pretty well in that respect. You don't drive Ferraris and live in a mansion if you don't do one bit. Even if you're paying it on lease, doesn't matter. The fact that he can afford the lease in general still means the guy's got a decent amount of wood in the bank. What they're talking about is the guy funny or not? Is he funny? Yes or no? Does his funny success pertain to his actual talent in the funny? Obviously not. And that's the reason why everyone's ripping into him, really. The business side of things everyone kind of gets. The funny stuff no one gets because, you know, not really funny.
It's like people kind of hating you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When you get faster.
Yes.
But I do see
He's
a lot.
also beautiful. He's also bigger and stronger.
I love this, like the people on
I love when people say he's beautiful. That's what Rogan says, isn't it? He's an Adonis, so people don't like him. No, I just think, I said it before in general, I just think in general, we are hardwired as human beings to really dislike and to kind of scoff and really kind of turn our nose up against people who essentially maybe have success that's unearned. It's just a standard thing. It happens a lot to IG models, happens a lot to OnlyFans girls, happens a lot to social media stars. Like even the Kardashians still get to this extent. It's just something that's hardwired within us psyche. There we don't respond well to people who we don't think have earned their success, which is why we probably go over the top and praise people who have got it from the mud, who have a kind of quote unquote rags and riches story, because it's such a it's such a fucking pleasurable thing to witness because we can all identify with the quote unquote struggle. But when somebody just kind of pops out of the blue and gets fast tracked and doesn't really respect the craft in any way, shape, or form, and then tries to, sue people online, you're gonna probably turn off a few people, especially when there's allegations around that you're trying to fuck other comedians' wives and girlfriends, you're offering to take people on drug walks, you're passing notes to randoms, you're sending I don't know. It's just, I just think in general, there's many kind of there's many instances of him over the years that would lead you to believe that could give people reasons not to like him outside the comedy as just a human being. So that's the issue.
Online, like you see like the fucking like random internet fans who are like, yeah, Brendan Schaub fucking sucks, and you're like, dude, he's a fucking heavyweight fighter, millionaire, successful person. Like, relax a little bit. Like, just chill out.
Well, here's the thing. Most comics put it. Here's the thing. This is what happened with him.
What do you say there? What do you say?
Well, here's the thing. Most comics put it. Here's the thing. This is what happened with him. Okay, most people put in a decade in. They put out a special. He did it like 2-3 years in. Nobody's gonna have a good fucking comedy special 2-3 years in. It's a fact. Nobody here, if we would put out a special.
I like that he doesn't even admit. He doesn't even say the words. Doesn't admit that point. That's a really strange way to be with your own friends. You can't even say, again, maybe it's not your position because they're your friend, but the fact that he can't even vocalize it and kind of agree with that point, maybe he shouldn't have, because I think in general, I think Brendan would obviously say he got the best deal out of it because, that Showtime deal, as you can see from the quality of his work post Showtime paid for a lot. That check from Showtime basically allowed him to fund the entirety of Thick Boy, maybe with obviously the help of his daddy, but for the most part, like Thick Boy, Showtime deal paid for a lot of things, right? It paid for many, many things that he kind of does in his own career, and obviously maybe some other material things, but it's clear that maybe in hindsight, taking that Showtime deal solely his career was a real kind of shot. He shot himself in the foot because he didn't give him any time to grow, because you just went straight to the majors and it was too soon. No one's going to be good after 3 years, especially somebody who isn't naturally, I'd say, like I said before, funny or comedic in any way, shape or possible, especially in a general sort of like stand-up-y way, because he's not somebody I think is going to sit down and write material. It's going to be all story stuff. It's going to be all inflection stuff and all kind of, silly goosey podcast stuff. But that doesn't work for an hour special. You need to have jokes. And even actual comedians still suffer and still don't deliver on their special. So, imagine a former fighter who just got into it really late. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that to yourself and give yourself that disadvantage? Just take your time. But again, explaining these kind of things to people like this is impossible. But again, I like how Bryan doesn't even vocalize it. Doesn't even say to me, just cocky daddy.
Special 2 or 3 years and would have put out something good. He shouldn't have done that. You guys as his friends
didn't even nod. Look, see, shouldn't have done that. Didn't nod. Didn't say a single word. Shouldn't have done that. Deadpan, just staring through Louis J. Gomez.
Failed him.
Shaking his head, agreeing at the same time. His brain and body is flipping fried and frazzled. As his friend, they probably all should have said, hey, you can't do this. Especially when they saw maybe the taping of it or saw him maybe going through some bits. Like, you can't.
Annie Letterman never sucked my dick in a truck.
He never. Look. That's a whole bullshit thing too.
Everything's bullshit. He's funnier than we think he is. He's nicer than we think he is. The struggle didn't happen. Like, everything didn't happen. Nothing is true. Everything is people say about you is a lie. Everything. Okay, cool.
Look, the guy, at the end of the day, this is a guy who does everything he can. He's trying to make himself better every fucking day. I love people like that, but I also love him. So if the world's against him, I'm right knee to knee with that motherfucker. That's my brother.
By the way, that's a lot of respect.
That I fucking respect.
And I like
trashing him. I think the perception.
It's a lot of Lewis, a little bit of us.
I
You have to
legitimately
understand, once Crack Amigo was created, there was no reining him in.
I have no problem at all with Brendan. At all. Literally at all. I've met the guy one time. I think it's just kind of funny to make the joke you're not supposed to make, and that was the elephant in the room, especially with like Rogan. Like the whole joke is that you can't make fun of Brendan Schaub because then you're out of the Rogan sphere. And I'm currently out of the Rogan sphere.
Me and Lewis are.
Exactly, which is definitely true. You can't make fun of Brendan, and again, this is what hurts him too. People don't make fun of him and don't tease him like other comedians say he's not that fun. And again, this might be a parallel to Rogan because people say about Rogan. Rogan, people say, isn't the best stand-up comedian, right? Even though he's on the stage with some big dogs. He maybe can sell tickets and whatnot, but he's not exactly funny. Maybe he's just kind of 10,000 hours his way into being a stand-up comedian, but you wouldn't say he's Louis C.K. funny or whatever sort of thing, right? So the fact that Brendan could basically count on him to be a friend, basically, basically protected him from any sort of feedback or harsh criticism from people in the comedy community, which probably hurt him in the long run because no one, you're just kind of left on your own. What Mike was saying here, appearances on JRE, Brendan 85, Eddie Buffer 83, Callen 81. So that immediately shows you, innit, those top three, or especially Brendan and Bryan, they're both immediately, long-term tied to JRE. So clearly that explains why a lot of people don't want to say anything. And imagine seeing them in real life, seeing all those three kind of bandits walking around in town, having dinner at bars and stuff. It makes sense why comedians are probably scared to say things.
Are way out.
You guys are?
Oh my God! We're in that. Remember where they put the Phantom Zone, where they put General Zod in Superman 2? If Earth is Rogan, we're floating in a mirror in space.
Really?
Hey, you remember when
really? That's true, man. That's true. This guy would.
I think he's awesome.
I'm 55. I don't get involved in this shit at all. I didn't know anything about it. So for me,
I don't think there's a problem.
I'm 50. Okay, age.
Yeah.
No.
He just doesn't give a shit about us at all.
He loves Dave and he does not enjoy me and Jay.
But there is, my favorite thing in the world, though, is what's indicative of our relationships with Joe Rogan, me and Dave and Lewis, is the...
Look how quiet Dave is. Nope, you're not fucking up my JRE bag. No way, sorry.
Picture we took when we did his studio. And it really is,
Pull it up, Bobby.
It's the best. It really is indicative of the relationship we have with Joe Rogan. Yeah, I won't even tell you. Just look at the picture, and you'll see why me and Lewis are on the outs, and Dave's fine.
It's gonna take. I don't know what you're talking about here.
This is one of my favorite things.
If I had to guess, it's gonna
if I remember, it was just three guys having fun with a werewolf.
To find the picture.
Yeah, he's got a.
He's my fucking best friend, you motherfucker.
I don't get it.
That's downright. That's just disrespectful, motherfucker.
I didn't mean to say anything.
You have a song about him. He's my fucking best friend, you motherfucker.
I don't get it.
That's downright. That's just disrespectful, guys. I can't have that.
We're all getting in on the action.
Well, look at Dave, though. Look at Dave. He's just like nice werewolf statue.
Yeah, by the way, Dave is well behaved, but that is a pretty fantastic picture.
It's a great picture, but it's indicative of who we are as comedians. It's also indicative to how Rogan probably sees us.
Bryan, I'm sure you've been there before, but I don't know if you noticed behind Dave there is a computer of a simulator for hunting.
Yes.
That he showed us him kill a buck.
Yes.
And then put it up back on the wall and said, "Let's start a podcast." He didn't let us try it.
Let us play with it.
He didn't let us shoot an arrow.
He doesn't fuck around.
He showed us every single toy he had and let us play with nothing. I think I point that out, and I think that's why he doesn't fuck with us.
He taught.
That's such a weird. I remember when Big J spoke about it before. That's such a weird thing to do. It kind of reminds you of remember when you were younger and you had kids that you were friends with who had, the latest computer console. I remember the time when I was maybe growing up, the latest one was maybe a PS2 or something or whatnot. I didn't have at the time. Maybe I had a PS1. And I remember, there was some kids who were awful who would invite you around their house to come play computer game, and then you get there and it's just them playing. Right? They wouldn't let you play. You just have to sit there and watch them play. Proper weirdo behavior. And that kind of sounds like something Joe was doing to them, right? He brought them to their studio, had all these funky gadgets that he uses, but he didn't want them to he didn't want them to play the game as well.
talked to us as he shot pool, and we all stood around the cool pool table wanting to play with
We watched him drain 7 balls, and then when he missed one, he just threw the stick down and goes, come over here. He shot a 50-yard laser-sighted arrow 3 times.
Yep.
And then when I reached, I thought he was handing it to me.
Way.
He put it back on the rack. He showed us where he freezes himself, and then he took us over to the simulator and shot 4 arrows, killed a buck.
Yeah.
And then when I reached out again for that bow, he goes, let's start a podcast. Yeah. And I was consumed the whole time with how much of those toys I want to play with.
Yeah. Why have all those cool toys?
I tried to play with him, and he goes, no.
You're not allowed.
Well, I'm just a piece of shit. I don't know how to play.
Why does he just fucking show you his toy? You can't show
because he's a notch below a pro. Like, he played so much as a kid.
Fuck pool.
that
I'm
he's
talking about
just
you can't shoot fucking zip arrows in front of me and then be like, you can't shoot an arrow.
No, you can't.
That's insane.
Because there's technique involved and all that shit.
How about the simulator?
He bought me a bow.
How about the
He bought me a bow.
simulator?
I never opened the case.
The simulator has blunt arrows. It would have been harmless.
You're not ready, buddy. I said it out loud. I apologize.
You know what?
You know what, guys? He sent me here to say that to you. This whole
That's the funniest thing he said in the whole podcast.
Yes, it's been a
I can't. If
fucking
he told me that, if that was his answer, I'd go, fair. I might not be ready.
Let me
he called me up. Just go there and tell him he's not ready. Just do the podcast.
You're not wrong. I just might not have been ready.
Let me say about Brendan though, dude.
Oh man, you are covering your ass.
No, not covering anything. It's an open invite.
I want to talk about this.
It's an open invite for Brendan to come on this show. It's an open invite for him to come to Skankfest. If Brendan came to Skankfest, I shit you not, our audience would fucking. It would be so cool. He came and he did our show at Skankfest. Our audience would embrace him.
He was never going to come on Skype because it'd go left so quickly. The thing with Brendan that's the issue is mostly the fact that he's thin-skinned. It's not even the fact that he's not good at comedy or he's not funny or he comes across like a bit of a flipping bully or whatnot. Forget that. The guy's just too thin-skinned. That's the major issue. And it's just a weird way to be when you're a content creator, a person online, especially if you're a stand-up comedian. It's a strange thing to be so thin-skinned where you're banning people all the time. Like, the amount of people he blocks on his fucking Instagram is wild. His block list must be fucking insane. He doesn't necessarily put himself up to getting insulted or dissed or ripped into. Apart from that King and the Sting show, which again is now defunct, but even though the previous one wasn't really where it was beforehand, I'm pretty sure, there's rumors. I remember back in the day that people were saying that he might have pulled Theo to one side and told him to chill in terms of how much he was getting at him on the early episodes of King and the Sting, because it became a little quite tame as it went on, and then it kind of turned into whatever. It just turned into a regular podcast. The guy just doesn't cope or do well with people insulting him. Doesn't. He's never have. There's that story of him kind of feeling that, for someone, I don't know who it was, he's just always been a bit emotional and sensitive, so I don't think he'll do it. It wouldn't end well, for anybody in there, because if he flips a switch and goes angry and goes to Chris Benoit in that room at Skankfest, everyone's in trouble, so it's probably for the best that he doesn't go. It's probably for the best.
Him and think it's the coolest thing in the fucking world. When we had Whitney on the show, people were giving me death threats. They're like, dude, we'll fucking kill you and your family if you have that bitch on your show.
And they did, to be fair, they killed his family.
They did kill his family.
They did that before her appearance, and then afterward they were like, funny.
Listen, by the way,
really
Whitney's good people.
Whitney's the best.
Whitney's good
people.
Whitney doesn't like you, Brian. I don't know. You're not going to get on a podcast again. Whitney's good people. She essentially iced both of them, right? She deleted both of the podcasts with Chris D'Elia and Bryan Callen, and essentially kind of excommunicated them for the most part.
And she
phenomenal on the show.
Murdered it.
She was great,
and she fucking she was so funny, and she just hung with us. And by the way, I think Brendan would just fucking do that. I think he would come into an environment like this and just be funny and take the ball.
Dude, he's a beast. Whitney won me over in a Stern interview she did one time.
Okay, no.
I'd rather just keep coming on.
Where
no one joined us.
I forgot.
Anything else? Is that it?
And here, because I'll tell you what, Brian, you're probably feeling a little bit nervous about these results. So I'll tell you, this definitely makes me feel better when I'm feeling nervous.
Okay, good.
Bobby, shake that ass. Bobby's got a thumper on him, dude. I don't know. God damn, it's a good ass.
That's a dumper right there.
That's a
rapper.
Lewis, as your friend.
Fuck that lighter. Fuck your Amazon lie detector.
Anyway, I'm bored, man. What should I... let's do the Sam Adams thing. That was pretty funny, right? Let's scroll to that one. So, of course, most of you are aware they did this fucking Sam Adams promo about sharing a bill with your friends. It's a pretty cool idea for someone that's worked in marketing myself, and branding and promotion and influencer marketing, all that sort of jazz. It's a pretty cool idea to get them to to get them to promote the beer in this way by kind of framing it around relationships and friendships and people who mean the most to you, blah, 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 share a beer. I get it. It's cool. But this one was so corny and cringe. Really, really was.
There's no respect for me. The point of all of this...
I bet I passed that test. I'll take a lot of tech next week, see if I respect you.
I know you respect
there you go.
But whatchamacallit, we should all write Sam Adams things for each other. Bob, you got to find some good bed music for it. And we all have to see. And we have to not break. We can't break.
I could wing it for both of you guys.
Oh,
I know.
Let's go. 2 minutes.
You won't write a toast for me and Lewis?
I'm just saying I could just
we could
give
all wing
a
it for
very
real.
good
Of course,
toast for
we
both
all
of you
could,
guys.
but let's write a nice one for next week.
No, we should have to independently record the commercial while we talk to a picture of
Come on, get to it.
Some kid.
That's right.
Greatest job.
I like independently recording.
Being
Put a little bit of work in.
is the greatest job on earth.
Oh,
it's
nice.
also one of the most difficult jobs. But I used to fight.
What? That's like that. That reminds me of that bit from Bill Burr, isn't it? Like, oh, being a woman is the most hardest job in the world. It's like, no, it isn't. Like, it clearly isn't. Have you tried tarring a roof at 60 degrees with red hair? All that sort of shit. It's like, what? Comedian's the most dangerous job in the world. Really? Like, come on, man. Get over yourself, brother. Like, these guys, man. They legitimately think they're going out to war when they go on tour, innit? Like, maybe they are going to war. Like, they're literally warring their fucking audience every time they go out on stage. But it really isn't that deep, bro. A lot of people that are coming out to see you actually like you to begin with. So that's half of the battle. They're interested. Yeah, you're getting paid to go there, and you also got time to prepare. So you should do okay.
Like grown men in a steel cage.
Handsome kid. Handsome kid.
All right, we get it. You have your friends.
Handsome. Yeah, stop sucking him off. And also, maybe Brendan did look handsome back then. Still a bit pudgy face, but he's definitely not handsome now, mate. That guy is, you know, whether it's the lip fillers, whether it's the overindulgence in the whiskey, but he has really let himself go, man. He was actually a stud before, but he looks, oof.
Just saying.
With Sam Adams, you think legacy, the foundation of what?
Yo, Flazzers, my sleep schedule is as bad as Wings of Redemption's sleep schedule. I kid you not. My sleep schedule is all over the place, right? Really, really is. And I still manage to get up pretty early to go to the gym and to run and shit. So I'm probably running on empty and I'm probably doing some irreparable damage to my insides, my fucking brain and everything else. But hey, you only get one run at this life and I'm going to fucking push you to the edge.
Nobody claps for my name.
I'm sitting here writing down my jokes. Oh, you guys happen to catch me writing jokes?
He's writing his thank you.
He's practicing writing his own name.
Lewis.
Maybe a big ass.
Lewis.
Maybe a real big ass.
Fuck off.
Look, even there, Brendan still looks a little bit like. Can I say it? Bad. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? He looks a little bit, you know. Oh. Let's continue.
Maybe I do the S first and then I write Brendan Schaub around it.
Hilarious.
Someone who actually matters. Not through a tweet, not through a picture on Instagram. It's important to do something like this. We know how everybody's movie ends.
Dude, look how fucking...
What the fuck is this? This is probably one of his cinema rooms, right? With his own tour posters on there and artwork from fans and whatnot. And one of those fucking, what are they called? I think they called that. They're not love seats, but they're these massive sofas that people have back in the day in like the 70s that you'd have in your cinema room where you could actually lie down and kind of look up at the screen and whatnot. And really, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like this is living. And this man was only like 4 years into comedy. No wonder everybody hated him. He had a mansion with a cinema room in the Hidden Hills in LA. He was filming adverts for Sam Adams and shit, despite not being funny. Like, no wonder all the comedians hated him. Come on, man. Like, this is fucking living.
Sickest
Boxers or
places.
fighters, if you stick around long enough, everybody ends up face down, butt up on the canvas. There's no longevity in it. I'm on this rocky sea, and it's fought.
Is there longevity really in stand-up comedy either? Do you really want to be a 60-year-old stand-up comic? That's just as bad as being a 60-year-old DJ, right? Really. Like at some point the party must end, because a lot of it, they don't want to admit it, but a lot of it has to do with them wanting to live like an alternative lifestyle, right? I know it is for me when it comes to DJing, the fact that I'm able to kind of tour, the fact that I'm able to play in different places, meet different people, because I just like to party and get fucked up. So DJing is a good excuse to do so. And comedy might be a good excuse to meet certain people, drink a bunch, and hang out with degenerates. It's quite fun hanging out with degenerates late at night and talking all sorts of madness. But surely at like 60, that gets old, right? You're not going to keep doing that. You have a family to look after. You have a wife or a partner that needs you at home. Like, when does the party actually end? Like, what longevity is there? I know UFC and fighting is different because you have to kind of tap out usually before you're 40, but you can't really be doing stand-up comedy and talking about dick jokes and finger blasting fucking waitresses at 65 years old, can you really? Maybe you can, but I just think that's fucking sad.
And I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost.
That's beautiful.
Bryan Callen's my lighthouse.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's so awful.
That's gay, dude.
More to life than fight.
Boo.
Look, massive mansion, fucking, what's that thing called? That's overlooking it, like a balcony, voluptuous wife at home, living the life.
That's the gayest thing I've ever heard, dude.
Dude,
Bryan Callen is my life.
Like that, and I have, hold on.
They would give him $500 if he knocked me out. And so he's this killer, and he walks in this gym, and I start making fun of him. Not mean, but just kind of roasting what he's wearing and how big he is. And Bryan goes, you know you're gonna do stand-up, right? And I was like, yeah, you're crazy. But Bryan...
That's a made-up story, by the way.
He just kept planting that seed. It meant the world to me. The world.
Yeah.
No one's worse at smelling the roses.
Look how old I look here, though. This is as bad lighting as I get on
The worst.
This
I never do. But I wanted to stop and take
This is the moment.
Cheers you, because
this is the big kiss.
You saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And since day one, you've pushed me to get better.
Holy shit. Holy shit. They were lying, innit? Fuck me. That's worse than a melted candle. That's like a melted candle covered in ashtray fucking residue. What the fuck happened to him there? And he has that weird Pepe Le Pew, what's the thing called? What's that guy called? What's that French cartoon? He has that weird French cartoon sort of ramp thing going on. Remember that French cartoon where he has a little dog? What's that cartoon called? Remember that animation from back in the day? Tintin. He's got that that's it, Tintin. He's got that little Tintin haircut going on. He's like a fucking 100-year-old Tintin. And this is before he got his lids done. So the lids surgery did work because he looks awful right here. The lids, right? They're drooping already, but fucking no. And this man was trying to make it in Hollywood. He was going to auditions looking like this. No wonder you didn't get jobs, brother. No wonder you didn't get fucking jobs going to auditions to play what, the dad or the love interest or the nondescript guy in the office or the secret, I don't know, like, what's the Tintin and Nazi? I think he was. Oh, the Tintin revisionist history is fucking awful, isn't it? I used to love Tintin. But yeah, oh my God, Bryan looks fucking awful. They weren't lying, mate. Oh my God. He actually looks better now, actually, even though he's post-divorce, post-rape allegations with a 3-year-old or what, like a kid that's under 2 years old and a whole new family. He actually looks better now. He's got more stress on his shoulders, but he actually looks better now than he did then. That goes to show how much Hollywood zaps out of you energy-wise.
And better.
Holy shit, dude. I'm
Jesus
looking
Christ.
at you.
Dude, look at my face.
What happened?
Look at my face.
Hold on. It
Go back
looks
to
like
that.
you have that old filter on your face.
Bro, it looks like
that was crazy, dude.
Son, I couldn't be prouder of you. You look like fucking Walter
Now,
White.
wait a minute. Hold on.
Now, do you honestly think if they brought up a picture of Brendan looking bloated as he usually does because, maybe he's allergic? Because I think maybe Brendan's bloatedness obviously comes from drinking alcohol, but it also might be because he's just inherently allergic to some types of alcohol, but he doesn't, he's just not going to stop drinking it. So maybe that's the point why he looks so bloated. But do you think Brendan could honestly sit down and hear these guys rib him about his flipping bloated face for 20 minutes? It's not going to happen. So the fact, this idea that him going on Legend of Skanks is not going to happen anyway. No time soon.
Hold on, but I had my eyelids done. So that's look at how old I am there.
That's crazy,
Oh,
dude.
well, young man,
That's
when
fucking.
someone's got it, they've got it.
That's Legion of Skank.
And you have got it, young
Look
man.
at that. I'm old.
Now come over here and give Daddy a little kiss on the mouth.
I pull my dentures out in the end of it.
Imagine this guy was the one going around trying to allegedly try to accost fucking shop assistants and oh God.
Jerry, I had that advanced aging disease.
Hello? Brendan, have you been talking this whole time?
I guess I hadn't slept.
What are you saying? I'm your what? Mentor?
That is
I
so
don't recall telling you to do stand-up
God
comedy.
damn.
Who are you?
I told you to do what? Why? You're a fighter.
By the way, that's 5 years
He's
ago.
calling the wrong name.
5 years ago. I've gotten younger.
Yeah, how is this 5 years?
I don't know.
Hey, Brandon.
I didn't get
it's
a
Brendan.
facelift.
Whatever. These newfangled names. What happened to good Johns and Franks? Where are we? Am I far from home? Am I going to fall down this hill? My hip hurts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for visiting me, Brando.
Do you have any soft snacks I can have? Something soft.
I'm cold. Can somebody please take me inside?
What time is it? These mountains are chilly. You didn't say we were going to be here all day. I got to get home for my shows. Celebrity Jeopardy. I am B. Alex hosting. I got to be there for that. Aaron Rodgers, a footballer, is getting a shot at hosting.
You have an Irish accent?
Yeah, I made him Irish too. Oh, bro.
I'm old.
Brendan, take the sword.
All right, please play.
Kill me now.
I'm better as a stand-up comic, and I wouldn't be here without you, man. And I love my brother.
Oh, this is so G-A-Y.
I always say, like, everybody needs a friend like Bryan Callen.
You should put your fingers on his lips right there. I'm like, shh.
You should unzip the zipper that he has for no reason right there.
Why don't you unzip his grenade handle slip? You pull that one down, you see his nip, and that's when the party explodes.
It's a grenade.
This is so delightfully gay. I didn't realize.
Brian, all I'm saying
I thought
is-
it was like. I thought
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be funny.
That's
and Jay was
why I
making
can't
fun.
believe I passed the I'm not gay test. That's ridiculous.
I think you got dragged into this.
But dude, how about my eyelids? No wonder. That surgery was fucking worth it.
Your eyelids are my gunt, dude.
Dude, I got the guy, bro. If he can do my eyelids, he can do your gunt. Look at that shit. I hadn't slept.
It's like he's missing teeth or something.
Oh,
I'm tired.
God.
I miss my.
I think if you're going to do this thing, you're going to need a manager. And who's a better manager?
I had no manager, Rock. I had no manager.
Yeah, but I ain't got...
I want to be.
Look what Bryan Callen's doing. He's doing that thing that Brendan does. When someone makes a funny joke, he just repeats it and riffs on it. I think that's where he got it from, isn't
A
it?
manager.
I ain't got no locker, do I, Mick? All right, I'm just an old man trying to... I don't know.
I'm 75 years old.
I'd like to pass that
I'm
knowledge on
75.
to you. I ain't got much time left, kid. Because they was all bums is why. They weren't fixed. Some of them was good, but you know, we fixed it. We leaned in your favor. You're going to eat lightning and crap thunder. What are we waiting for?
It's just relentless.
Go ahead.
Hey,
Well, there it
the
is,
comedy
ladies and
store's
gentlemen.
calling
It's
for
to you,
There you
you.
man.
go.
I can't thank you enough for what you've done for my career. Cheers.
Cheers, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it. What do you have?
This is okay. I think Brendan was trying to hold his laugh. To be fair to him,
Cheers.
he must have
Cheers,
laughed
bro.
a lot of times over
Thank
this.
you.
Look, it's just him laughing. See, he was about to laugh there. He broke character. But look how puffy his face is even there. It looks like he's got fucking pads underneath his cheeks. Like, look at his face. Holy shit. It looks like a mask, mate. Honestly. It looks like he, what was that Marlon Brando film where he stuck the fucking tissue paper in his cheeks and shit? That's what he looks like. That's absolutely insane, brother. Rotted.
Appreciate it. Why do you have that zipper He started laughing. We were trying.
You asked about the zipper.
You did ask about the
You asked about the
I had
zipper.
to.
Nice.
I had to. What the fuck do you think? Come on, man. Wait, let's watch. Let's watch.
Is he wearing a yoga necklace?
Buttons are not enough, or is this a feature?
It's just kind of like, oh.
It just makes me angry when you're that fashionable for some reason. That's good. That's good.
Enjoy your beer.
You know, Brian, much respect for trying to pull some funny at the end there.
Come on, man.
Much respect.
See what I mean, guys? Because guys have trouble with fucking
Because
emotion.
Brendan's got a face of like, why are you being funny on my moment?
Yeah. He's got a pretty face, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, pretty face. Anyway, that's the end of it. I can't be bothered to watch any more of this. This was fucking a disaster. Brian, cucked out on that show. The leading the Skanks guys kind of cucked out too. In the face of people that you diss, it's hard to kind of come back and be like angry and shit, or be cussy and harsh as you were before. But that was a little bit of a damp squib in general when it comes to all that good stuff. But I thought the reaction, funnily enough, from Brendan the next day, or the day after fucking Brian was on Leading the Skanks, was so telling in terms of how he feels about those Leading the Skank guys. So if you're one of those people who sat there thinking, oh, Brendan will eventually go on Leading the Skanks, he will see the light of you see the error of his ways, and obviously want to sit down with those guys and have a bit of banter and hang out. Not happening, mate. Not happening. He fucking hates those guys, especially Luis J. Gomez. I don't think he even mentions the guy's name, I don't think once. Or maybe he does, but he does so in a way where he doesn't like them guys at all. And he kind of steamrolls through Brian's story. It just seems like somebody that didn't really give a fuck about those guys at all in the slightest. So this is from the episode after Bryan Callen appeared on Legion of Skanks, which is the Fire and the Kid episode, what? I don't know episode number it is, but it's just this titled Dana White Clapback. And Brian basically details his experience on the Legion of Skanks.
But we had a great time. We had a great talk.
So you did Joey Diaz.
I did Legion of Skanks. Your buddies at the Skanks.
Yeah, my good friends.
And
I couldn't even tell you who's all on there. I know.
But
so passive aggressive. I couldn't tell you who's on there. Come on, man. Stop being a fucking. Oh man, this guy is the worst. He's online as much as we are. Let's just get that straight. 'Cause I'm not online. Don't check social media. Is a lie. He sees everything. So this idea that you don't know who's on these shows, fair enough. He maybe hasn't sat for an entire show because he doesn't have a long attention span. Fair enough, but you know who they are.
But Big J,
love Big J.
Yep.
Great comic too, by the way.
But we had a great time. But it's also like it's like being in a coliseum.
Dan Soder still.
Look. He's not even trying to let him finish the story. It's just like interrupting. Throw him off. So he doesn't really speak about it, and then it kind of just breaks up the flow, and then you kind of move on.
Still on there?
No.
I thought Soder was part of that because Soder's a Denver guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's.
Everyone's hilarious. Big J's hilarious because he likes him because he didn't say nothing bad about him. Big J's hilarious as well.
Yeah.
It's Big J, Dan Soder.
Yeah, Dan, of course.
Gomez. And then Ari? Is that...
No, Ari wasn't there.
But is that the Ford, like the...
And Dan Smith. Dave Smith.
I
It was
don't
not
know
Dan
him.
Soder. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Dave.
I don't think I've ever met Dave. You called him Dan? You guys
Dave's a great
aren't
guy.
close?
You've met him. He said you were really nice to him. I don't know. But anyway. But Dave's great. And we had a great time. And those fans are fucking rowdy as shit. And it was, the whole thing was crazy. They hooked me up to a lie detector and asked me all these questions.
Do you think there's some whiskey in that monster he's drinking? Do you think so?
And
like a legit lie detector?
Yeah, it's a police lie detector. And I'm like sitting there going, here we go.
There's a real guy doing the actual thing?
Well, they asked you all these...
Is it like...
Jesus Christ, let him fucking finish the story, brother. Jesus.
Comic saying
No, it's the guy who runs the whole thing.
It's a legit guy.
So he asks you some baseline questions. Are you a male? One of the questions he asked me when I was doing it is he goes, have you ever wished anybody dead? I was like, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which I'm sorry to say.
But at least you're telling the truth. What else did they ask you? How many questions was it total?
They asked me 5 questions.
Only 5?
Yes. They said, and the big one was, do you think Brendan Schaub is funny?
Oh, interesting.
And I said, yes, without hesitation.
Yeah.
And I was telling the truth. So there you go, buddy.
Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face. He can't laugh. He can't riff about it. Nothing. And it's insane because everyone doesn't think you're funny anyway. So why would you get offended with somebody's? It's just a funny question. You know what I mean? Like, Make a joke about it. Roll with the punches, my guy. Like, come on, do something. He's just angry. Yeah, exactly what you said. The leg rub is out of control. He's just pissed off. Honestly, people thinking he could go Legion of Skanks are really sorely confused about this guy. Like, he legitimately might get violent if he went on that show. Like, he does not like being made fun of. He does not like being about the jokes. He doesn't like it in the slightest. And he generally does think he's funny too. So he wouldn't react too well to that show at all being on there. No way, Jose. Look at Bryan Callen. Daddy, Daddy, look, I did something cool. Daddy, look. Daddy, look, I did it. I backed you up, Daddy. Hey,
And then what were the other questions?
One was funny where he goes, "Do you respect Louis J. Gomez?" I don't know Louis very well, so I was like, "Yes."
Respect him in regards to
that was just one of the questions. They roast each other to death. The one thing about New York is that New York comedy, and those motherfuckers are New York. Like Big J's from Philly, but you may as well be from New York.
I love how Brian's trying to indirectly teach Brendan a lesson and try to educate him, or basically subtly tell him in a roundabout way that you need to kind of grow some balls and allow people to roast you, because it's a way for you to become funnier. Being able to, take jokes and give them back might actually help your overall stand-up. He's trying to say it in a roundabout way, in this kind of weird round subject thing, but he's not really saying it directly because, no one says anything directly to Brian, to Brendan, who's around him, because you just end up getting fired like Malik did, innit?
New York to say, Philly, New York. The way you interact, I think Louis is Puerto Rican from fucking like the Bronx. You cannot go to school, high school there, or middle school without essentially having the toughest shell in the world, because the way people interact is basically to try to destroy you. Oh, dude, it's just...
Look, he hates it. Look how much he hates it. Look at his face. He does not like that. Not for me. Look at his face. Look at him. And this is something I've noticed too from doing these live streams of the Fight and the Kid in general. Brendan has this telltale thing when he's pissed off or irate, or he doesn't really, not for me. He starts chewing the side of his mouth. It's a kind of little telltale sign he does where he's not really comfortable. And obviously the fucking leg touching thing is obviously some nude thing he's developed, but that is definitely a thing of him being not for it at all in the slightest.
Roasting, I believe, I don't have the data.
That's how most guys are,
yes.
Though. Whether it's New York or like...
Yeah.
No, you're not like that. Most guys are like that, but you're not like that. You hate it. We've seen it, mate. You don't respond well to it at all.
Grow up in a locker room. You know how that goes.
Correct.
Oh, here we go. One up, McGee.
Just getting lit up.
So those guys,
something different.
But those guys take it to a level.
Yeah, they get dark. Yeah,
bro, they get dark, and I got a pretty tough shell, but
you and I aren't dark.
I was like,
look, see, you and I aren't dark.
This a lot. I was like, oh Jesus, like Big J.
Because didn't Ari shit in a cup before? Was that on?
Oh, you know about that? Oh God Almighty! Look at that fucking specimen, innit? Jesus Christ, he popped out of out of fucking nowhere. Jesus Christos, bro. Anyway, let's continue.
I don't know, but anyway, wait. So we do this whole thing, and it was Big J is funny as shit. Big J off
He's
the cuff.
So underrated. Big J.
Holy shit!
You should have done the serious show with Big J and Dan Soder.
Oh, look at him changing the subject and not wanting to talk about Legion of Skanks anymore.
It's the funnest time I've had doing press.
Oh, really?
They have a show on Sirius.
Yeah.
Dude. And they're talking about...
Dan Soder's great.
I think they're talking about...
Look at his face, brother. Like, what the fuck? It looks legitimately like he's got filler. Like, or that he's just been stung by a bunch of bees, as Theo said back in the day. Fucking hell, man. Like, honestly, the price you have to pay, like, to be these guys in general, looks wise, is brutal, innit? It really is brutal. Fuck me.
Catch a Predator, or there's something like some crime show. They're fucking hilarious. Yeah, Soder's.
Hold on, let me see if it's maybe I'm just being too out of order because the specs are down. What is it? It's on 360 now. Let's get it to 720. Let's see what it looks like in 720. Oof.
A Predator, or there's something like some crime show. They're fucking hilarious. Yeah, Soder's from Denver now.
They're both
played
killers.
at Smoky Hill. We were rivals. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
he played.
Yeah, I think he played football just in high school. But he's the best comic coming out of Denver.
He's funny as shit. Dan
In a long
Soder,
time, I
Dan
mean,
Soder
I've
and Big J. That's a hell of a team.
I love how it just moved on completely from Luis J. Gomez and Legion of Skanks. No props over. I think he mentioned his name once, but he didn't even say his full name. He just said Gomez.
Do they have a show on Sirius?
Yeah.
Here's my question.
I think they still do.
Here's my question. Why are you on Sirius? Do your own thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. But
I mean, I
also
think, I don't know.
Do your own thing. Yeah, you would love to be on Sirius, mate. The amount of money they pay those guys is big dollars, man. What do you mean do your own thing? You just started to do your own thing because you got cancelled. Let's not be entrepreneurial fucking advice guys now. Come on.
But also, like when our boy Jason Ellis was on there, he's getting $1 million a year,
Oh, okay.
flat fee.
All right. Hey, I'm all
So
about
I'm sure
Sirius
they pay him
then.
a good amount of money.
I'm all about it then.
Fucking
No, but Big J is fucking amazing.
That was
So is Dan. Again, I don't know the other guys. I'm sure they're great. I just
They
don't know them.
roasted the fuck
I
out of
don't know
me.
the other guys.
Bring up.
For
Did you
being
see
old?
how old I look on that?
He hates them so much. He hates Luis J. Gomez with all his heart, only because he made fun of him. It's just hilarious, man, honestly. It's fucking pathetic and hilarious. He made fun of him, made some jokes, just ragged on him a little bit, and he absolutely despises the guy, which obviously explains why he's never going to be on Joe Rogan anytime soon on his own.
Sam Adams commercial. Bring that up for a second.
You do look younger.
Bring it up. Bring up that.
Look how happy he is now. It's changed now. There is no look. He's achieved his dream. He's really, to be fair, Brendan's really good at that. He's really good at not wanting, when he doesn't want to talk about people, he's really good at railroading the conversation and moving it on so he doesn't have to talk about it, which is why that whole thing with Kalila was really interesting, because it was the one time he had to just sit there and take it. He couldn't just move, and she kept she kept putting him on job, like, don't try and wheeze your way out this by using anecdotes or vague descriptions, whatever it was be. Like, she did a really good job of pinning him down, but he's good at kind of, nah, I'm not talking about this anymore.
Let's take a look at this, because I was actually embarrassed, and Big J went on I don't know.
Aren't you embarrassed by those fucking toes on the podcast, mate? Isn't that embarrassing enough? Right? Isn't that embarrassing, wearing the fucking carcasses of fucking, lovely elephants in the middle of the fucking Africa on your feet, mate? Isn't that fucking embarrassing?
But
Jesus.
20-minute rant on me. I need a sweater. I'm cold. My teeth. I don't know what he was doing. It was unbelievable. Dude, look at how old I am here.
Holy shit.
No, Bubba, you got to see this. Wait till you
That's
see
in my
face.
backyard. So let's
Now, you look very young. I've gotten younger. You've gotten...
Oh, come on. This is fast.
The greatest my basement on earth. Real basement. It's a difficult job. Check out the locks. But I used to fight grown men.
Are you fake writing there? Look at how young...
I love how I love you know what I love the most about this? Look at Brendan's face every time Brendan hears himself say something funny on the podcast. Brendan loves himself. Like, Brendan loves Brendan. Like, he legitimately rewatches himself and laughs at his own jokes. Like, it's fucking incredible. Like, you can clearly see he thinks he's fucking hilarious. Like, he thinks he's fucking David Tell. He fucking thinks he's George Carlton. He legitimately thinks that. Look at him. He's absolutely bending, like, busting up inside. Like, oh, look at me, man. It's so cute. Look.
Young you are. This is a great commercial, dude.
With Sam Adams, you think legacy, the foundation of what America's about. The idea to toast someone is important because with so much content these days and social
I hope you're fake.
I'm drawing activity. It's very rare.
Like, can you pretend you're
stop
writing?
and actually acknowledge someone who actually matters, not through a tweet, not through a picture on it.
Did he use a little makeup?
Look how impressed he is at him. Look, he's loving himself there. Look, he's like, looking like a snack. Yeah, let's go.
Important to do something like this.
No, you look good, but watch me.
Everybody's movie
Don't worry,
ends.
he knows. Look at that little smile. He knows.
Especially when it comes to boxers or fighters, if you stick around long enough, everybody ends up face down, butt up on the canvas. There's no longevity in it. I'm on this rocky sea, and it's foggy, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost.
And the Skanks guys, they love sentiment.
He would
They love sentiment. They're like,
So they played this?
oh yeah. Now,
Ari did one.
yeah, they played that too.
Ari did it for...
He was good in it. I liked Ari.
I think he did Red Band.
Yeah, Ari's was good.
They would give him $400 if he knocked me out. And so he's this killer, and he walks in this gym, and I start making fun of him. Not mean, but just kind of roasting what he was wearing and how big he is. And Bryan goes, you know you can do stand-up, right? And I was like, yeah, you're crazy. But Bryan just kept planting that seed. It meant the world to me.
Nah, he's definitely not cringing. WF, but why? He's definitely loving it.
The world. Well, no one's worse at smelling the roses.
And also, who sits there and rewatches stuff like this? I don't even rewatch my own podcast. I skip bits, mate. When I'm doing clips, I skip as much as possible. I don't like to. I don't like to fucking listen to myself or hear myself speak in the slightest. This man enjoys it. He loves it.
And the two of us.
Stopping and smelling the roses.
The worst.
Yeah.
You never do. But I wanted to stop and take a moment, man, and cheers you because you saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself.
One of my favorite jackets.
And since day one, you've pushed me to get better. And
oh wow, you look older.
Now stop that. Hold it.
Holy
Hold it.
shit,
Go. Now
bro!
go back. Go back.
You
again.
look like Clint Eastwood currently.
Now hold on.
Did you weigh more there too?
And since
I don't know, dude. It looks like a fucking filter. Look at that. That's an old man filter.
That's how you look, dude.
Bubba, look at my eyes. And now
just look
that's
like you have
that's
more weight.
pre-eye
You look
operation.
exhausted.
I was really tired. And that's
And look
pre.
how heavy your jowls.
But
are.
why is that? Was I
Heavy jowls. Can we, again, the lack of self-awareness. Can we talk about how heavy your face looks, sir? It looks like it's fucking full of creatine. Like, are you for real?
holding water there?
Oh, hey. That's how you look, though, right?
When you do
I like
stand
we're
up,
pretending it was a filter. No,
Come on, don't say that. Hold on.
your face looks a lot thinner right now.
It does?
And I would say when you stay up too much, you do retain water and your cortisol levels affect
Okay.
that as well.
Maybe ate a wheel of cheese before.
I was
you
under
shot
a lot
this.
of stress.
Maybe ate a wheel of cheese and drank a bottle of red wine, and then showed up to the shoot.
Which is
What about when you drink fucking bottles of? There's rumors out there that allegedly he's absolutely drinking through his entire stock of thick. Was it thick boy, thick cum whiskey, whatever it's called? He's drinking through the entire fucking crate himself. So my man gets through a bottle a day, and whatever he eats at Food Truck Diaries, and he's trying to talk about retaining weight in the face. Legendary.
is 100% true. I was living on cheese and wine there. And I had psoriasis all over my body.
Sure. And
I was
now,
sick.
This is a conspiracy theory, and we'll run with that for now, but you just old, right?
Okay, I want to get into conspiracy theories.
You know me, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but let's keep playing.
Okay,
we'll get to
play
that.
this and we're going to get to some stuff.
You look so, and they were lighting you up for
But
looking old.
Bubba, look
Hey,
at
they
my
were lighting
eyes.
up for looking old?
I called my plastic surgeon who did my eyes. I called him up yesterday. And I go,
Anyway, Brian's gonna make it non-fun anymore, but you get the drift. Brendan is not a fan of Louis J. Gomez or leading the Skanks. He's not gonna be on there anytime soon. So if you're holding your breath as a fan, you should probably not hold it anymore, or you're gonna die because he's not gonna be on that show. And if he's gonna be on that show, somebody might die in the audience if he goes on there. It's not happening. It's not happening. Anyway, let's move on from that one. Oh fucking hell, it's getting late. Oh, and let's play this actually. This is quite hilarious. I guess Brendan is seriously trying to milk this Dana White moment, which is quite hilarious because from the looks of it, Dana hasn't paid any attention to the guy at all. Zero, like zilch. He said 3 words and didn't even mention the guy's name. And Brendan's been fucking really trying to ride the back of this thing and kind of make the most of it to the point where he actually writ a comedy bit about his entire interaction with Dana White, which is weird because it's pretty niche, isn't it? I guess if you're going to see him perform live, you'd probably know what happened between him and Dana, but it's a pretty over the moment, currently niche thing to talk about on stage. But hey, he did it anyway. I didn't watch the whole thing, so we're gonna watch it together and subject ourselves to it. I think this is the one here, right? Dana White hates me. So let's play this and hear what he said stand-up special wise, right? So be prepared. It's gonna be maximum cringe, but let's see what he's saying here.
Dana White hates me. For no reason. I did nothing, dude. How dare you? For those of you that don't know, he called me a fucking dummy. And I'm 39 years old. I can't just lay down like, you're right. Like, you can't do that, dude. It's not nice.
There's a lot of that weird inflection thing he does, isn't it? That's the inflection. That's the funny bit. The dude, all that sort of stuff. That it's funny on podcasts, but I wonder if that really resonates or comes across well on stage. I'm not really too sure, but it's a very strange way of doing comedy.
Why would you get so upset? If my theory on UFC 279 is so outlandish, why so mad, bro? You know, you got that one friend
who's a little too aggressive when he hears people being gay. Like you're driving in your fucking Bronco with all the doors down, someone's like, "What's up, gay boys?" I'm not gay, I'm like, whatever, that's hilarious. My friend's like, "What the fuck, dude? Pull the car over." You alright, man? Jesus Christ, bro, I'm so mad. Wait, he didn't wear a mask all pandemic, right? No variant. He's like, "I'm not a mask guy." And then monkeypox is taking out the gays. He starts rocking a mask. You know how I know you think dicks are delicious?
Didn't he steal that line from Joe Rogan? Isn't that like a classic Joe Rogan podcast line? You're afraid that dicks might be delicious or something. I swear that's a Joe Rogan line. I swear it is. And the fact that laughing at a joke that you saw from somebody else, a line you saw from someone else that you know is going to crush is peak cringe. Like, really. Because you know it's going to crush because it always crushes because, you know, it's a funny line that Joe Rogan did. But, oh yeah, this is painful, but I can't leave people. Anyway, people pay for this. Like, wow.
For the few haters, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna make fun of Dana wearing designer jeans and wearing cool shoes? Look at you, dumbass." I'm like, yeah, bitch, the difference is I've been a fuckboy since day one. I came out the womb a fuckboy. I was born a sneakerhead. You feel?
No, but that's not the funny thing. You actually tried to insult him for wearing designer clothes and sneakers, but you are the one that looks like a redact wearing that sort of stuff. You look at that hype beast, so it was a lack of self-awareness that just boggled people's minds. Like, how can you insult somebody for something that you do every single day? That was max projection, but obviously he's trying to rewrite the narrative. But that was a terrible joke to throw at Dana White. Like, he's not even stylish. Who looks at Dana White and thinks he wears designer clothes and cool shoes? He might wear the odd rare sneaker here and there, but he basically wears monotone everything, right? Monochrome, monotone.
Enjoy your perspective on the TFATK content.
Big up for the $5 donation from, who's that from? Is that Kurama? Sorry, I can't see the name here. Let me get up on here. The name is C. Warner. Big up for the $5 donation. Enjoy your perspective on the TFATK content. I do really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support, my friend.
You know what I mean? If mine and Dana's relationship was a movie, it'd be Shawshank Redemption. Listen, he's the evil warden. I'm Andy Dufresne, y'all. I crawled through some shit to get away from that, man, to get to where I'm at. You can't.
This is a comedy bit, by the way.
Root for the warden? Who the fuck roots for the warden in that movie? Fellas, you want to test to see if your girl is ride or die? When you leave here tonight, okay? You know what else you can do? You can even watch Game of Thrones. If you've never seen it, watch Game of Thrones. Season 1 through 8. Right? Binge watch it this week with your girl to find out she's the one. 1 through 8. When it gets done, you go, bam. Some people think it's the greatest TV series of all time. What do you think, babe? She's all, it was good. I wish the White Walkers won. You know what I'm saying? Serial killer. Fucking serial killer. Don't be roots for Dana White. I'm not mad at him, though. I don't give a fuck, dude. Life goes on.
What was the point of that? I legitimately wasted 2.5 minutes of my life I'm never ever gonna get back. That was fucking shocking. Oh my god. Cause it's a bit of a nothing interaction, right? He threw out a conspiracy theory. Dana White dunked on him. He had some comment to make back on the Instagram post that wasn't really funny, but there's a couple of funny lines in there. That should be the end of it. It's not enough of a beef to take on stage. Maybe the first beef they had where he said, you know, Dana White's his fucking, Eskimo brother. They maybe had some more meat on it, but this is not really anything to really drag on and make a whole comedy bit about and put it on that. What? That bit, I don't know. I can't anymore, man. I just can't. I just really, really can't. That was fucking awful. Legitimately some of the worst shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, but again, this man's probably figured out something that we haven't. So, you know, props to him, I guess, innit? Props to fucking him. Let's I don't fucking believe what I'm seeing. Honestly, that was fucking awful, innit? Holy shit. Let me play a couple more before I decide to turn this fucking shit off because, oh my God, my eyes are bleeding. Okay, this is a good one. This is taken from the TFATK Kids subreddit. It says here, Barn Doors Comedy. Honestly, the nicknames they have for Brendan is fucking awful. Barn Door Comedy. Origin version number 87, because he keeps reinventing his obviously comedy origins to the point where there's different sort of tales being spun about how he got started. But for the most part, if you're a fan of the show, you would know he never wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Always wanted to be an NFL football player. It didn't work out. Got into the UFC, and then through being friends with Bryan Callen and doing the podcast, he stumbled into stand-up comedy because it made money. That's it. Nothing else. He didn't have these aspirations to be a comic. He didn't stay up late watching specials or whatever it may be, or go to shows and sneak in through the back. No, he just stumbled into it because it made money and it's easy to do. But let's see what he thinks his origin story is.
So I grew up, my mom was obsessed with Robin Williams, like obsessed. So
sure,
I grew up like the biggest Robin Williams fan.
He can't even say his name properly. George Carton, Robin Williams.
So growing up in Aurora, Colorado, predominantly black neighborhood. So the way you got...
Funny enough, you don't hear him mention any of his black friends, which is, again, something people mention quite a lot about Brendan, that he doesn't ever talk about his actual friends he grew up with in Aurora, Colorado. It's just all LA people. You don't hear any stories from his old friends, no, anecdotes, no old friends checking in or coming on the show, people that he thought was funny from back, nothing. It's just all this new LA life. No real ties to, I don't know, maybe this says a lot about his personality, or maybe it just says, he just doesn't care about them. I'm not too sure. But it's really interesting. Black neighborhood, but doesn't really strike me as somebody who have black friends. Like, do you know what I mean?
Kind of attention was being good at sports, and thank God I was athletic, so I made friends through sports.
Yeah.
But my goal was always to be a comic, to be like Robin Williams, and really the goal was to be on Saturday Night Live. So my mom, we'd watch Robin Williams all the time. Then he was famous back then with all the movies, so we'd watch those. I mean, we'd go opening night. My mom was obsessed with Robin Williams, and then
he says his name like 4 or 6 times. So this is the new origin story, because he's clearly gone home, done his research, and kind of married up the times when he was young, when Robin Williams was on SNL, and basically decided that this is his new origin story. I think this is what we're seeing now.
Every Saturday, no matter what I had going on, till damn near high school.
Imagine as well, if he's somebody that was schooled on SNL and actually saw legit comics, especially when SNL used to be good, is it possible that somebody that watched that amount of stand-up material and was immersed in stand-up comedy in general would make the decision to take a comedy special after 3 years in comedy? They wouldn't do it because they respect the craft, because they know what that is about. They know how hard it is. They know how, they would just honor the craft. They wouldn't go and just piss it up the wall and do a Showtime special just because they got offered it. They wouldn't. So this is a lie anyway in general, because based on his actions. And obviously the new fucking, specials are even worse.
Me and my mom would watch Saturday Night Live. My mom's really funny. It's where I get my humor from, is my mom for sure.
Really?
My dad's a savage. So we'd watch Saturday Night Live. So the goal, and still is to host Saturday Night Live. That's the goal.
I'm sure you'll get there. You're gonna get there.
We'll see
After this podcast.
Yeah, this might do it. This might do it. Yeah. And then I'll play. Then I'll just play whatever venue Kevin James is performing.
Okay, whatever. But yeah, that origin story is absolutely insane. Definitely a lie. Doesn't make any sense, but hey, what can you do? Big up Proven. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Appreciate you as per usual. Let's do a couple more before I also bounce. What else you want to go here? Is that it? What else is I here? Bear with me a second whilst I get the other one I wanted to see here. I've got a couple more tabs to go through. Bear with me 1 second. Come on, where is it? Come on, this computer is fucking taking ages to load. Bear with me a second. Yeah, this is a pretty decent clip. I beg to differ be a real quick fire-up from an apprentice chef, courtesy again of the TFATK Kids subreddit. This was pretty hilarious. Let's do this again.
By yourself, right?
By myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no...
That first 1 hour special.
Yeah, man.
What's it called? Do you know?
You'd be surprised.
Wow, you'd be surprised, huh?
You know what that's off of? It's a play from when I started doing stand up when Joe Rogan.
Look how fresh. I know it's many years ago. That might be more than 5 years ago. But Jesus Christ, Brendan's aged terribly, isn't it? Like, God damn, man. Drinking really does take it out of you, especially on a daily basis, man. I've seen it now with these guys. Like, you look at Bert Kreischer, you look at him. Like, they do not look good in the face. Drinking and really indulging yourself in all your vices really doesn't end well.
Rogan goes, he gave me that talk, and then I said, I think you'd be surprised, because we're talking about fighting.
Oh, when you were quitting fighting?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
From that.
And he said, I think you.
Yeah, I said, I think you'd be surprised.
Wow.
That's the name of the special.
Oh, really, dude?
But he was tired getting hit, so he taps.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the mic and goes, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Mm.
And this was like, one of the biggest moments in UFC history. He says, I'm not surprised. And then my special's called You'd Be Surprised. You see how I used that?
That's not true in the slightest, isn't it? Didn't he film his special before the fight anyway? Like, that's a weird thing. And also, it's not true. And also, the reference to You'd Be Surprised, wasn't it more so Joe Rogan saying, I think you'd be surprised because you'd get fucked up if you fought Cain. I don't know who it was. I think it was Cain Velasquez or someone he used as a example in that famous speech he gave Brendan. But it wasn't said in a positive way. It was said in a kind of like, no, you'd be surprised, motherfucker, because you're not really aware of how bad you are at fighting or whatnot. Again, I don't understand the changing of the narrative of the story, because the origins of it are quite cool anyway. The fact that Joe Rogan, one of the biggest and most important people in media now, kind of gave you this talk, this legendary talk that kind of, allowed you to then transition into this other career that's given you all these amazing riches and experiences and friends and stuff. It's actually a good story to have. Like, yeah, Joe Rogan basically, he destroyed me and made me feel like a fucking ant and super small and disregarded my skill set by saying I'd be surprised. So I took that name or title or phrase and used it as good in terms of saying, hey, you'd be surprised what I can do next. I don't know, whatever. You spin it into something positive, but just completely changing the entire context of it to make yourself sound cooler or something is weird, because we got it on video. We know exactly what was said. It's a strange thing, man, to lie about something like that. It doesn't really make any sense. Like, the actual real story is pretty cool. Like, just tell the real story. There's no need to fucking lie. But yeah, I don't know. Another thing we'll talk about here is this quickly. This is one a good one. So this is courtesy of the TFATK Sub again. It says Bappa has a buddy selling heroin and fentanyl, allegedly, right? But the funny thing about it is why I really like this little clip, because it demonstrates the hubris that he has and just the confidence he has in terms of saying things he has absolutely no knowledge of whatsoever, with an immense level of authority and confidence. And you see that a lot with locals, especially for someone like Wings of Redemption. He talks with such authority on things that he has no knowledge of, especially things that he doesn't do himself. But I wish I could have that authority, but I'm always kind of I doubt myself in general. I kind of always double speak and argue the other side of the argument, even though no one's saying it. Maybe don't hold my position as strong as I would like, because I'm just generally self-aware and kind of conscious that I don't know a lot. But this guy literally thinks he knows everything, right? And here's him basically saying that he has a friend that's sitting on heroin and fentanyl because he can't get rid of it. Really, really strange. But listen to this clip.
That's right.
I have a buddy who's in the drug business, and he's like, oh, because the border's open, like there's just a surplus of drugs. Yeah. He's like,
nobody's making money.
Well, he's like,
it's too much.
He's like, no, there's a surplus of drugs, so people are sitting on heroin and fentanyl and no one has money in America because of inflation. He's like, so we're just sitting on it. So he's like, now it's Spain and Australia. Notice the ODs in Spain and Australia.
Really?
That's the new markets.
Whoa.
America's not the market anymore.
Really?
Because they open up the floodgates, so everybody's coming in, so the market's just oversaturated. America don't have a ton of extra.
What? How does that even make any sense? During the peak of the pandemic, right? When everyone was locked indoors and didn't have anything to do, people were doing crazy amounts of drugs. Even here in the UK, the kind of levels of people taking Class A substances during the peak of the pandemic was super high. And if you look at history books, you'll see in any recession, the first thing people run to in a recession or during down times is booze and drugs, alcohol and booze. So to sit there and say that you have a friend who's sitting on piles of dead stock heroin and fentanyl, like he's sitting on fucking stacks of unsold Jordans, is absolutely insane. What are you talking about? Like, literally, what are you talking about? Fentanyl, nowadays people are taking mad risk with fentanyl because of the crazy high effects you get from it and the fact that it's relatively cheap. Dealers are now cutting all their drugs with it to make it more potent and to make it stretch longer. And some psychos out there are actually taking fentanyl recreationally. Like they do GHB and shit like that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that even, like, just thinking about it critically, how would that even make any sense? Trust me, how would it make any sense? People are locked indoors from the entirety of the pandemic. Then they finally get out and they don't want to do drugs. They don't want to go crazy. They don't want to drink. Or people are indoors with nothing to do and they don't want to drink or do drugs. Come on, how does that even make any sense? But he's talking about it with such authority. Like, I have a friend that's sitting on fucking dead stock piles of fentanyl and fucking heroin. Have you ever fucking, maybe come to the conclusion that maybe your friend is lying? Is that not something that it could be a factor as well in this situation? Absolutely wild thing to kind of throw out there, man. I heard that and I was like, huh? What the hell is he going to say about something like that? It's honestly incredible, especially with no facts or information or backing. Like, oh, have you seen what's happening in what? What did he say? Spain and Australia now have suddenly had all these surplus of ODs. Why? Because they don't have people going over the border. Excuse me? Do you know how much fucking drugs are sold for in places like Australia? That people resell cocaine they buy and smuggle in there for like £200 a gram or something. I've heard $200 a gram and upwards. It's fucking insane over there. So to suggest that they're not, fighting tooth and nail to get a hold of that product is fucking wild. Like, what are you on about? Honestly, this guy is something special. He really is. I don't get it. I wish I could be that fucking confident in the things I say. I really do. But, I'm too fucking self-aware. I have too much shame. And I think that's probably the reason why I'm not uber successful as much as I would want to be, honestly. Because I have too much shame. I really do think so. I think if you don't have shame and you're, in, in that lane, you kind of get away with it. Oh, my God. But yeah, that was it, man. It's 4:30 now anyway, so I've got to bounce. That has been the Random Show, episode number 50. 50. 50 of the AgostinhoZinga show. Oh, sorry, of the Random Show, sorry. Episode 50. Thanks so much for tuning in. As per usual, as I said prior, if you can, please make sure you subscribe to my new random channel, a dedicated channel where I post up clips and stuff, and I will do live streams on there very soon to get it popping. But do check it out. It's called Random Show with AgostinhoZinga. Just type that into the search bar, you'll see it there, and subscribe. I've got a couple of clips on there now, but I'm going to put up some more as we continue, so please make sure you are on there and subscribing and shit and keeping up to date on there, because I will be updating that soon as we go along. But for the time being, thanks so much for tuning into the show. If it's your first time here, of course, make sure you smash the like button if you enjoyed. Obviously, press a dislike if you didn't. I also don't mind that, but just engage, please, if you don't mind. And of course, if you want to come back, make sure you subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated too. But apart from that, thank you everybody that tuned in. You guys have been amazing. Okay, you can add the link to your other channel. Oh, awesome! I'll put it there. Yeah. Well, definitely, Martin. I'll put the link to the video description so you can click on it too. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Big up Uche, big up Cloud K2, big up Orion Chip, big up Martin Moose as always. Big up Dax Terax, big up a Ran Chan Joint, big up Robert Miller, big up Brian, big up Fly Society, big up Shane Jr., big up Flazzers, big up Glass House. Big up Kanye 2004, sorry, Bronze Arm View, Proven, 187 who ducked early, big up Amy K, big up everybody that tuned in. I'm seeing here Matthew Harris, Gabriel J, big up Brian. You've all been absolutely wonderful, great audience as per usual, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning into the show. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I greatly appreciate it. Don't take it for granted whatsoever. Peace out, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care. Peace. Peace, peace, peace.